Hello, I'm RJ City, and you are listening to the MonsterCast. You're going to talk about Bela Lugosi. They're going to talk about Lon Chaney Jr. Be so sad, holding his hat, saying, "Please put me in this room and don't unlock the door." And you can't do any better than the Dahl brothers. Jack and Ryan, they're brothers, but they're also bros. What? Pardon? Wrestling. Well, who the hell wants to talk about wrestling? These are horror movies. It's a deep genre. It's a smart genre. Fantastic actors. Fantastic cinematography. Wrestling is just sweating and fireworks and bouncy ropes. There's nothing to how do you talk about that every week? All right. Let's see them try. Take it away, you crazy dolls.
You.
Jesus fuck. Fuck my fucking ass. What the fuck? Please shut up.
No. Look, Master Watto is a
shut
champion.
up.
You're gonna put some
Stop
respect on his
fucking
name
saying
now.
Master Watto on this fucking show.
IWGP Junior Heavyweight Co-Champion.
What's up, you guys? Sean Rossap of Fightful here. You're watching the MonsterCast with Jack and Ryan. A big shout out to those fellas. Good people. Check them out.
Oh my god, what is this?
It
Who
looks
is
like a
making
TV.
the New Japan titles. They need to stop making
It's like
titles.
a TV, bro. They took it too literally. That's the problem.
They should have just turned it into a TV. I would have been more impressed.
That would have been cooler.
Put some
Make
antennas
it-
on the top.
No, just make it like a digital title. Like you could display whatever you want on the
Oh,
digital.
like an
title.
LCD screen?
Yeah.
Yeah, and then have
That'd be
the
sick as
picture
fuck.
of the person that's the champ. That'd be so good.
Oh fuck.
That'd be worth it.
Wrestling podcast. How fucking original.
Jake and Brian, Brandon Cutler here from AEW, and I hope you guys have an awesome podcast with the MonsterCast. What was that? Your name is Jack and Ryan? Shut up, Jack and Ryan.
Tell me who you would sign first.
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
No, not overall, genius. Between the two goddamn examples I'm about to give you.
Master Wada.
Killer Cross or Dominic Dijakovic, who are you signing first?
Killer Cross. 100%.
What the fuck?
Absolutely.
Wrong! That
No,
answer is
I would.
wrong.
I would.
Oh
Killer Cross.
my god.
You don't know shit! Your opinions suck!
I guess you're welcome.
Fuck,
See,
I'll boo it.
I don't think I've ever said boo.
I will.
That's so stupid.
I'll do it. Boo! You can't. Don't actually say the word because that's why it sounds weird. You gotta. It's like more like a note. Boo! You don't fucking actually say boo. Boo! 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 You don't turn it into a fucking chant. You actually have to.
I will.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that at Forbidden Doors.
You start a boo chant. Boo! 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 Boo!
Here's your host of the MonsterCast, the Straight Edge Monster Jack and Ryan.
Hello, all you crazy bastards. It's the last episode of 2023 for the MonsterCast. I am the Straight Edge Monster J-Rad J. That's Ryan Rockwell over there. And we got a huge show for you today. Great night of wrestling last night, depending on who you are and depending on which half of the pay-per-view you liked. So we'll get into that in a minute. First off, I'd like to show off my newest figure that I got for Christmas. I was going to show it off on the prediction show, but I didn't want the prediction show to go too long. This is the Supreme CM Punk figure. Got this from Robert, who actually came over for the pay-per-view last night. I didn't get my hands on the Kenny Omega ones before they were gone. Like, they had like 3 of them for a while, and then all of a sudden when the CM Punk ones showed up, the Omega ones disappeared. And I was like, God damn it. Because I was hoping I could get them on sale or rollback or clearance or something like that. Because that's what they usually do with the older series of stuff. But if I come across the Omega one day, I'll definitely grab it because it looked pretty cool. But I wanted the Punk one, obviously, since he's no longer there. Mixed feelings about that and him.
Maybe that's why Omega left.
Well, here's the deal: is part of me wanted the figure, but then the other part of me was like, I'm not paying for it. So if somebody else wants to get it for me, that's fine. Because he kind of, pissed me off in that whole thing. But we got a great show for you today. Favorite thing from last night? Just throw it out there, Ryan Rockwell. Favorite thing from last night?
Oh fuck.
Let's stay positive out the gate. Let's try to stay positive here. Favorite thing at World's End last night,
Eddie Kingston,
or maybe the scrum. Who knows?
Eddie Kingston. Just in general, Eddie Kingston. I thought that he probably had the best match of the night. Seeing him finish his story was good. He seemed pretty genuinely happy, and it was nice to have him and Mox do the little hug spot at the end. So that was all good. I thought that the way that they handled Kingston and the Continental Classic stuff was probably the nicest, like, tight story they've run in a while that didn't get all way out into the fucking weeds with stuff. And I just like Eddie Kingston, so it was nice to see him.
It'd be very hard to make that go out into the weeds after you just had a whole tournament that was supposed to literally bring all that shit and rein it all in. Yeah, certainly that was a great moment last night. My favorite moment from last night. That's let's see. Good question. How about Adam Cole just being the devil like we all thought he was going to be pretty much the entire time? Like, sometimes the most gratifying story in the end is the one that it was supposed to be the whole time. If you try to get too cute with it, and it makes it not make sense, or it makes it kind of dumb, or it makes it fall flat, and you're like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But it being Adam Cole in the end with Wardlow, who was doing all the vignettes against MJF on his return or whatever, and of course the other three, and the way that the whole situation started out with Adam Cole telling Roderick Strong, trust me, I got a plan, I know what I'm doing. He doesn't even watch the product. But now it makes perfect sense of why it would be Adam Cole in the end. So I just like that it was, they didn't try to get too cute with it.
The only part that still, if you watch it all back from the start, the part that still isn't going to make sense is Adam Cole stepping in to fight Jay White. Other than that, it does.
But he doesn't like Jay White, though.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean anything.
I think it makes sense.
I think the only way you could make it make sense is if you were like, well, he volunteered knowing that he was going to lose, so it was a way to get Max to lose his belt.
Maybe, or that he knew that MJF was too stupid to let somebody else have the spotlight, so he knew MJF was going to try to fucking come back.
Yeah, but he stole a goddamn ambulance and drove it back, so I don't think that's
really... Yeah, I get your point, but
it's
I mean,
predictable in wrestling.
It's pro wrestling.
Predictable.
It's pro wrestling. It makes sense. This is the most it was going to make sense in pro wrestling terms. Yes. Maybe they'll explain it all. Who knows? We'll see.
Yeah, we got to do that Monday Night Raw, but not really Wednesday Night Dynamite recap.
Yeah, but this is what the one thing I do like about that is that they're gonna give hopefully Adam Cole the same treatment that they did Britt when she was in a wheelchair forever. Now he'll get to be on there and talk every week while Max is gone, so that so Cole and the group doesn't lose their heat, right? So like, there's no reason to do that if Cole isn't gonna be on there on Dynamite and quote unquote why Adam, why explain your actions type situation. Like, he's not just gonna go away now for a few weeks. They're gonna have to stick around. The issue is if MJF is not gonna be around, who the fuck are they going to wrestle in the meantime, and who's their program gonna be against? Because no one likes MJF anyway. So Samoa Joe is the new champion, and the group that took out MJF, now MJF is gonna be off of TV for a while. If he ever comes back at all, quote, I mean, we don't really know, but he could not be back ever again. But you would assume that with this storyline that obviously he's coming back to avenge these people turning on him or whatever. But who do they fight in the meantime? Not BCC, but Bullet Club? Jay White? The people that they were attacking? The Acclaimed? Like...
Well, there's going to be people that want to fight them, right? Because they did beat them up during the process. So yeah, you're going to have
Paige.
to be Acclaimed. Yeah.
I get that part. Yeah, that makes sense. But like, is that going to be enough to hold them over when Cole can't get in the ring, so Cole can't get the dubs for these guys?
You know, wasn't Paige's attack also just like a bottle that was broken and he was laying out?
You don't tell me that you think Adam Page is going to turn heel and join these guys.
No, they don't have to turn him heel, but they could always do the thing where they're just like, no, I knew who it was.
Kind of
I
like,
held
yeah,
some
kind of like
thumbtacks.
they did with Samoa Joe. We're like, hey, thanks for doing the business.
Yeah.
Because everybody just wanted to get at Max, so the whole goddamn
Right.
company is against them. And then
Yeah.
you feel bad for him, but really, this is one of those Macho Man Hogan situations where the heels on
They're
TV
kinda right.
are actually right because he
Yeah.
was an asshole the entire fucking first 4 years to everybody, where he was the most monster fucking heel of all time. So
Yeah.
if you think about it, are you really supposed to feel that bad for him type deal? Yeah.
Yep. I think they should do that. I think it makes Paige look smarter than just getting fucking ambushed with a beer bottle for no reason, you know? He can be like, no, I knew who it was. They set up that attack on me and then just fucking never mention it again. I think that'd be good. Mm. Well, you were gonna be anyway. We didn't pick enough different. Battle Royale. And I guess perfectly, by the way, without even having a roster, because I'm the fucking champion. That's much more impressive than any of our other picks. Mm-hmm. Wrestle Kingdom predictions or Wrestle Kingdom's coming up pretty soon. When are we doing Wednesday? Okay. I'm off tomorrow. Mm-hmm. All right. Mm. Oh, you
I
took
muted
off for
myself
the
the
show?
entire time this time. My bad. Anyway, I don't know how long that was muted. Um, it was muted on OBS.
Oh.
I'm the champ. I don't know if that's. I don't know how far back. Let me throw the prediction. Let me do it again. I'm the champ. 131 and 33 to 126 and 38. Way better winning percentage records than last year. And next year, we'll be bringing back Monster Quiz to see if Ryan can hold on to his title there because he's the Monster Quiz champion for this year. And
Easily.
I might even do. I don't know if I'll be able to keep up with it. See, I can do graphics for mine. That's the thing. I like having the graphic up there because I'm gonna be like, hey, you want to go back and forth, alternate weeks, so that when I win the championship, it's not like I'm the Monster Quiz champion too. Or if I'm just trying to stump you, basically. I'll just keep it the way it is because I mean that'd be too weird. If I can give me the graphics ahead of time, it's not gonna look believable if I look up the answer.
You'll cheat.
Yeah, exactly. Like people will think I would cheat. I would. People would think that I was cheating, especially if you didn't think I got it. If it was some crazy ass question or whatever. The multiple choice really helps out though, honestly. So we'll just keep it the way it is. But Ryan is Monster Quiz champion for this year. I am prediction champion of this year, and then next year we'll have a MCCP or MCCP. Yeah, that's right. I said it right the first time. MCCP championship, the Monster Cash Confidence Picks title as well. That'll be part of the prediction shows where we will rank how confident we are in each match and then get points based off of that.
Mid card wins, baby.
So what am I looking at here? I scrolled down to so I wanted to tell everybody your Monster Quiz. I would say you went 15 and 6 on the Monster Quizzes that we did. So 21 of them, you got 15 of the 21 correct.
pretty good.
So not
'cause
too
it's,
bad.
what,
Like you crushed it. You crushed it
three
this year.
multiple choices. So I should, if I were randomly choosing, only get 33%. So yeah, I should have only gotten 7 out of 21 or whatever. Anyway, yeah. It's because I know what I'm talking about. Sometimes.
We'll be bringing that back next year, though. Speaking of New Japan, we're talking about Wrestle Kingdom earlier a little bit when we were saying we'll probably do the
You were
prediction
muted.
show on tomorrow, or we'll record it tomorrow, or whatever. I have no idea what the hell I know what the main matches are, obviously, and one of the matches that were announced recently that we didn't get talked about because of the holidays, so we've missed a couple shows in a row. Our first quote unquote show back was the World's End predictions. New Japan Pro Wrestling announced the Moxley versus Finlay versus Ospreay match at Wrestle Kingdom will be for the first ever IWGP Global Championship, as the United States Championship is basically gone when it got turned into the UK title by Ospreay and then destroyed by Finlay. So thoughts on the title name? Does it sound like it's higher on the totem pole than the IWGP Heavyweight Championship? I know New Japan released a statement about it. It's basically like their version of, I feel like the way that they worded their statement, it feels like it's their version of the AEW International title.
Yeah, that's what it sounds like to me too, but it's hard to say world and then global, because a world is a globe. Like,
But we've had this
Earth is
conversation
a
before.
world.
Intercontinental and international are all the same thing too.
Kind of. Yeah.
And continental, it's all the same. They're a lot. If you're encompassing, you're not saying just North American Championship. You know what I'm saying? Like, so it's all.
Antarctica is not a nation, so technically, there is international goes to one place.
Well, Australia is a country and a continent.
Yeah, it is. But that's not a nation. I mean, not to say that Australia is not a nation. So a nation, and people don't really understand the difference of these things because it's like really boring political theory, and you'd have to go into like, there's a lot of people who've written on the national question, but like Antoine Sade, and he was like a Syrian nationalist who wrote The Genesis of Nations, and like any anthropological study of human societies and how they form has made this distinction between nation states, countries, and like a nation. It doesn't even necessarily have to be within a country, but we've started to, like, the Western idea of the nation state has made the two synonymous in a way, but there are national identities that have nothing to do with whether or not they're in a state. So all that to say, like, I know it's a very boring backstory, but when somebody says international and then versus intercontinental, it's like in the framing of a real understanding of what nations are, you kind of understand that, like, okay, well, international wouldn't include Antarctica, but intercontinental would. And then it's like a weird, they're not different enough to make a distinction really in the terms of what a wrestling belt would be, because you wouldn't be going somewhere with a wrestling belt somewhere that didn't have a nation, which would be like a collective identity or culture or group in which wrestling occurs. So the whole even trying to make a distinction between those two things, like on a level of understanding what a nation is pretty fucking dumb. There is a distinction, but for the purpose of wrestling, there isn't. And global and world is also weird because the world is the Earth. The Earth is a world. A world would be a planet, or a world would be like you wouldn't generally refer to like a galaxy as a world. A world would be one entity, one cohesive entity, like a Minecraft world. But then global is the same thing. It's everywhere in the world. For that, a globe is referring to the world. So they're the same.
Don't forget you got the
thing.
Universal title over there in WWE as well.
Yeah, well, that one is obviously the best one. That's the whole fucking universe. It's crazy.
Yeah, so I guess they plan on going to different planets and defending this title at some point.
Roman Reigns is gonna fuck the aliens up, boy. It's just 3 Superman punches and we're good. I think
I'd be sending Brock Lesnar as champion over Roman, just so you know. They have a shot at this.
You know what I do find weird is the global championship, because the IWGP World Championship is like the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. It does sound like the global championship is bigger. And I know they don't intend for that to be the case, but when you say global and then don't restrict it to a weight, it does sound like it's like an over encompassing championship compared to the IWGP World. I
mean, we both know that's not how they're going to position it on the card, but
right,
yeah,
but it just sounds weird. I don't know. It is what it is. Like I'll wait to see it until I determine whether or not I hate it. But I kind of also just wish they brought back the original Intercontinental.
yeah, I
They
don't
didn't have
understand
to
why.
give it the
Why is
same
that so
lineage or
hard?
anything.
Why is that so hard to do for them? I don't.
It might be
Do
a
they
lineage
hate the
thing.
title or something? I don't understand.
It might be a lineage thing because you can't bring that back without creating a second lineage for it because it is folded into the other title. So it would start its own lineage with the exact same name and the exact same look, which is weird.
All right, we're about 20 minutes into the program, but we are literally now about to start our official AEW Worlds in Review. Okay, let's do this. Let's start from the top here. And by the top, I mean what I have written down. Not the, because I didn't write the predictions in the same order, I don't think. Because I did it later on. It's close. All right, so Willow and Statlander started off the pre-show. 0 hour. Willow got the win. Surprised a lot of people actually online. I picked her, but it was one of those situations where I was just picking whoever Ryan didn't pick, just so we had something different. Again, that's what I texted him when we made those picks. And I ended up being right because it really was a 50-50 toss-up. Honestly, they're both from New York as well. So I figured that's why they threw this on the card. They didn't really do anything to further any dissension between the two, which maybe a lot of people thought they might do. They hugged afterwards or whatever and everything. I thought this match should have finished 3 minutes earlier than it did because they were both very tired. And it definitely showed when she couldn't even hit her finishing move, the Doctor Bomb. Statlander was having some issues as well. Like they just seemed blown up. Maybe they didn't know they were going to be wrestling and they wrestled on short notice, stuff like that. I don't know what happened.
Or didn't know they'd be getting that long.
Yeah, exactly. That's possible too. That's crazy, but yeah, if it was 3 minutes earlier, it would have been looked at a lot better than I think it is going to be looked at. But I mean, you couldn't really go wrong either way with either one of them winning. They can both use the win. They can both take the loss at this point. So it's no big deal.
Well, my thought was that they would have Statlander go over to push her into the world title picture after whatever happens with the world title picture tonight.
Let's see. Part of me thought that Willow was going to join Stokely at it for a second instead of Statlander, and I was like, oh, that's going to be crazy to try to turn Willow heel instead. That would have been interesting. But Stokely was basically out there for no reason because neither one of them joined him. So like, I don't even understand, but it's whatever.
He's trying. He's the CJ Perry of the women's division.
I mean, he lost Jade, so like in 2 weeks. So now he's kind of. So now he's trying to find somebody else, I guess. I don't know. All right, and then Hook beat Wheeler Yuta, which we both called, obviously, in the FTW rules match. Now, when we were saying that he was going to win and then like Yuta's going to come back and challenge him again in a pure style match because he thinks he can beat him in a pure style match, do you think that's still happening based off of what we saw?
Nothing in the match really lent itself to Wheeler would have won if not for different rules so much as you might have thought. He still just kind of
it was more of the low or mid card heel trashing the town and then coming to get beat up by the guy that is from that town type deal. And that's it's like a standalone type deal. That's what it came off to me as.
Yeah. Which I don't hate because Wheeler can still walk away and just be like, well, he won because it was no rules and he hit me with a stop sign or whatever.
Yeah. Even though he's the one that went up to him and said I could beat him in his own rules match. But yeah, he's still protected technically. Yeah. The 20-man battle royal. All right, so Shibata wasn't in it, so let's just take that apart aside from it. And Ryan obviously won this, and he almost called all of it throughout the night. If it wasn't for him just handing the title over, or handing the contract over to Christian, I'll talk about that in a second. But I will like to point out a couple things that I did not like from this match. One, I see Archer, and Archer didn't win. And I see Dalton Castle, and Dalton Castle got thrown out second in the fucking match.
Yeah.
Second! Pissed me off.
Also, why's he got new boys? Those are not his boys.
I don't know. what's going on.
Those are very
I'm
big
hoping he's
roles.
turning heel soon. Honestly, I hope he turns heel. He does the same character as a heel anyway, so like I don't really care. But he needs something that's gonna
Make him stand out.
put him up somewhere. Put him up somewhere, dude. Like there's a lot
Well,
of
he's doing
tweeners
that
in
thing with
AEW,
Johnny
not a lot of
TV now.
heels in AEW anymore. Now that Max is a face, so besides obviously Cole now just turned massive heel, but if he still comes out with that song like we said, he's still gonna get that pop. Like people still love Adam Cole, so it's gonna be hard for them to cheer or to boo him. So
I mean, they still sing Judas and still boo Jericho, so
they were booing Jericho in New York for a different reason, but
yeah. Well, maybe we'll talk about that a little bit.
I'm not talking about it until something definitive comes out.
We can talk about it a little bit. We don't need definitive to talk about it a little bit. But
I'm not gonna take one side or the other, but I will say that it doesn't look good. I'll say that. How about that?
It does not look good. But yeah, same thing. Like even when Jericho was at his most heel, they still booed him, even if they sang his song. Or Rollins, they would still do the oh shit, even when he was a heel too, and still boo him. During the Cody matches and stuff, so it's whatever.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but still, like, well, when MJF's music hits and they automatically start booing, that's a different type of heel to me. So, like,
or Don Callis's music.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Fuck you, Callis chants that you can hear over, like, you can still hear over the noise theme that he has, and you're just chanting "fuck you, Callis." It's so good. But yeah, I did not like Dalton Castle going out second, dude. That's Serpentico went out first and Dalton Castle went out second. What? Yeah. That's how we're viewing Dalton Castle in AEW? Come on.
Hey, no, we're not doing any Serpentico slander either.
I am. This man is wearing fucking pajamas to the ring.
Listen, if I knew I was going out there to get thrown out first, I'm not putting on fucking real.
Well, that's true too. I mean, I'm not. Yeah, that part of it, okay, whatever. But still. Fucking Dalton Castle, but Dalton Castle comes out with a theme and everything, gets the entrance and goes out second.
Yeah, I wasn't crazy about it. But he is doing the thing with Johnny TV too, so there is it's not like he's doing nothing, but you have to be watching Ring of Honor to be aware of it. And he's also kind of doing a thing right now where he's like broken down a little bit. So him losing that quickly isn't against the character of the story.
Helps him start losing his fucking mind, basically, even more.
Yeah.
What'd you think of Action Hydretti?
Yeah, I think that's what I texted you, isn't it?
Dude, I mean, I have zero issues with him using it as a gimmick, but if he's gonna start doing it in the middle of the matches, dude, like I literally turned to Robert and I was like, this man did a Hurricane Rana Frankensteiner right after, like I would have thrown up. Like, you can't be fucking flipping around the ring as soon as you do that.
I think if he uses it like a Popeye spinach sort of thing to recharge.
Yeah, like the sauce from Bronson and Boulder type deal.
Yeah.
The Iron Savages.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe. But like a Scooby snack, like
yeah.
Like I don't want to be tagged in, don't tag me in, and then here's a bottle of water. Okay, tag me in, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
I'm fearless now. I've got hydration.
Yeah. They could do that. And then you could do some stuff with heels where they fuck with his water and then he passes out and they pin him. Maybe not. That might be a little bit too date rapey. There's stuff you could do with that.
Poison him? Like give him X-Lax or something? Okay.
Yeah, just poison him, yeah. Or put sleeping meds in his shit and he drinks it.
He's got a puke.
And then
he's got a puke.
Yeah. There's a lot of dumb mid-card shit they could do with that, but it's definitely got a ceiling on it.
I thought those little gimmick things like that work perfectly for the trios division, though. Like things that can get over that you can do for 4 to 6 months before people are like tired of it or whatever, and then you move on to somebody else type deal. Yeah, like those I'm cool with that.
Yeah, the crowd get into it, like he's telling the guy to stop so he can drink. Oh.
We had a whole feud between 6 of the best wrestlers ever over a fucking hammer.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I'm saying? Like that was the main focal point of the storyline type deal. Like whoever got that hammer and hit him in the fucking head first, they got the dub. So those are good storyline things that you can use for a trios division that would make it interesting. And it's not, hey, they're just throwing out fucking trios matches. They don't have no story behind them. Even if it's the smallest story, if it gets a pop or it gets over, it's worth it.
Yeah, I don't know what the longevity is on Action Hydretti, but he could get away with doing it for a little bit at least. There's stuff you could do with it in the mid card. I also was not a big fan of Lance Archer being in the match and then not winning. I thought that was, but as soon as they had Luchasaurus come out there, I was like, okay, I see where they're going with this. Obviously, because I think I even texted you. He might, because I was like, is this supposed to be like a Money in the Bank thing? Because he could just come out in the fucking match or whatever, and then
Yep,
give
they
it.
said anytime, anywhere on the graphic. So
yeah,
I was fully under the impression that that's how it was going to go. I just would have loved to see Adam Copeland versus Shibata just because it's so outside the box that something you never thought you would see ever in your life. So I mean, I'm picking outside the box already because I didn't know who the fuck was in it. But then on top of that, it's like, dude, what's some weird shit that you want to see in AEW that you can't see anywhere else? And that's just like one of those things because we both picked Copeland later on. So like that would have been cool as fuck for me to see. And like you can't tell me Copeland isn't sitting there like, oh yeah, I definitely want to wrestle fucking Shibata. That'd be cool as shit because we all know how he is. So he would have been down for it for sure. But yeah, so Killswitch wins it, obviously. Then we go to the main card.
Well, hold on. There was one other thing in there I didn't like.
Okay, go ahead.
There was dumb babyface shit where
Trent
it's
Barretta.
Trent and Dan.
Yeah,
Trent and
yeah,
Danhausen.
obviously. Yeah, let's talk
why
about
don't
it.
you just keep him
Let's
if
talk about
you know you can throw his ass out easy? Keep him
He
in
just
there
did
as
it.
like a
You could have done the
shield
exact same fucking thing after you threw out Killswitch.
Yes, just
The exact
dumb
same
babyface
thing.
shit.
Danhausen would have had the same reaction. Yes, I just threw out a big dude and you just throw him out. And that's over. And it's over. But yeah, I don't understand. And Trent's been in how many AEW Battle Royals at this point?
Like 12.
Like, come on, man. Come on, dude. Yeah, it was definitely a dumb babyface moment. I mean, even instead of doing that as a match producer or whoever the fuck produced the match, at that point, don't even just have fucking Danhausen and Killswitch be the last two.
Yeah.
That way, Killswitch can get a bunch of heat on him at the end of it. And because everybody thinks Danhausen's going to win, like Santino and Alberto Del Rio at the end of the Royal Rumble type deal. Like, could even had where Danhausen was under the ring and everybody forgot about his ass somehow and he comes back in. You know, something like that. Like, dude, that would have been so much better to get the fans up because they would have, like, obviously they legit would want Danhausen to win, but even have a semblance of maybe it's actually possible that he gets a title shot would have been worth the crowd reaction. All right.
Yeah.
Main card. Let's talk about Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley. You were talking about it's your favorite part or was your favorite moment of the night because he finally got his flowers, basically, is what we could say. A lot of people like online said, oh, I don't know why Jon Moxley won that triple threat. He doesn't need this match. Yeah, no shit. But Eddie did. That's the whole point. Eddie needed the win over Moxley. He beat Claudio. He finally beat Danielson. And then he beat Moxley, the three members of the BCC that he had the most issues with, the most trouble winning against. He fucking beat them. That was the entire point of this. So now he is legitimized because he beat Danielson finally. It wasn't a fluke against Claudio because he beat him for the Ring of Honor World title and then again in the tournament. And then he beat Moxley, who he's never beaten either. And it was for an AEW title as well. So now he has 3 fucking titles at once for a dude that never had any titles. And you can already tell that he's not very familiar with wearing or picking up 3 titles and carrying them around. It's going to be a bitch carrying those bitches through airports and shit. Yeah. But he's finally legitimized, like, automatically from beating Moxley in the final like that.
Belt looks good too.
Yeah, they call it the Continental. Instead of calling it a Continental title, they've been calling it a Continental Crown. It's got the crown on the thing. So I thought that was pretty cool because it literally helps represent the 3 titles as the Triple Crown. And then, of course, they said, TK said earlier on on the early stages of the announcement of the tournament that the titles the titles will move as one. So unless there's like a dissension between the promotions, obviously, and they split them back up, but the titles will move as one. So they'll all be defended as one title. There's never going to be, hey, I'm just defending the New Japan Strong title. It's literally the Triple Crown or nothing. So the Triple Crown will move around, and then whoever the Triple Crown champion is going into the next Continental Classic will automatically be entered into the round robin tournament. So I thought that was pretty cool. So it'll be interesting to see how long he actually holds it, or if it's one of those situations where he holds it, he loses it, and then he wins it right before the tournament starts again.
Or wins it back in the
because it'll be interesting because it's going to be very hard for whoever wins the Continental Classic one year to not be in it. So like let's say Eddie loses the title and I don't know, fucking know. Garcia is the champion going into the next one. So Garcia is automatically entered. There's no way you're not putting Eddie in there if he's healthy. Because he won the last one anyway. So why wouldn't he also get in there if he's still under contract and he's healthy and ready to go and all that kind of stuff? Like whoever the previous winner of it was, even if they're still not the Continental Class or a Triple Crown champion rather, they're still the Continental Classic champion, so they should go in automatically as well, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Somebody said, I saw somebody on Twitter, well, don't let Ospreay see it because it got a crown on it. He's gonna immediately want to go for it. So, it does raise some interesting stuff as far as like there are people.
Ospreay versus Eddie Kingston, all in, baby, for the Triple Crown.
Yeah, that could be something. What is that? That's a summer show, isn't it? It's like August.
Yeah, August.
So yeah, okay. It's got plenty of time to do stuff with it before then, I guess.
The only issue with that is like if you have Ospreay win it that close to the Continental Classic, because we know he's not going to lose it right away or anytime soon. Does it already phone in who you think's going to win the Continental Classic though? When Ospreay gets entered into it?
No, because you could have him get to the finals and then just lose the finals, and it doesn't really make him look any worse. So, which is what
It'd
I thought.
It'd be very hard for me not to pick Ospreay though.
Yeah, if he's in a tournament, yeah. What I thought they were gonna. That's kind of what I thought they were gonna do with Kingston. Was like, oh, he's gonna make it to the finals, and then whoever he's against in the finals is gonna beat him.
Until you saw it was against Moxley, yes.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And then I was
if it was against Jay White, then I would have picked Jay White because that would have furthered their storyline.
Right. And now
insanely because of the New Japan shit. Yeah, exactly. That would have been awesome.
Yeah. I think they probably should still do that. I think maybe that's who should take them off of him is Jay White. We'll see.
All right.
Yeah,
let's move.
I thought it was cool.
Yeah, that's cool. Let's move on to the two women's main matches, the title matches. The Toni Storm beating Riho and Julia Hart beating Abaddon. I thought they both did really good. The matches were solid.
Yeah, I thought the matches were. So I was watching on Fight, and obviously Fight's got the chat, and people were bitching during the Abaddon and Julia match. I was like, what are y'all talking about? Like, this match is fine. The crowd is dead because they just came off that fucking 8-man match. But I thought the match, there was nothing wrong in the match. The match was good, and I thought the stipulation that got chosen was pretty funny.
Yes, hilarious stipulation. We all started laughing. Like, did they just fucking say biting is legal? And they said it again. I was like, oh, this is so good.
Yeah,
that's pretty funny.
But no, I thought it was good. The sky blue stuff is it gives Abaddon an out, so it is what it is.
Yeah, and it gives Julia Hart a reason to keep having the title as well as an undersized performer because she has somebody that's watching her back constantly.
I think that's the first time I've ever seen her like in pants. Because she always wrestles in that like that corset thing. Yeah. It was weird seeing her.
She wasn't really in wrestling gear. Yeah. She was just wearing.
Yeah, it took me a second. I was like, "Who the fuck?" It's like, "Oh, okay, it's Sky." I don't think I've ever seen her real close.
I thought the match was good. It was a different pace, which was good for the show because you don't need balls to balls every time. This is Spooky chants were fucking fantastic. I thought that was great. The entrances were good. The match was solid. There was no huge botches or anything. Like, no miscommunications, no weird shit like we saw in the Willow Statlander stuff or the Sting Takeshita situation. So I don't know what is there to bitch about because it's not a 5-star banger. It was still good. It was still really good.
I think people complaining about it were just like still feeling negative off of the 8-man, and then the crowd was dead. Aside from the one chant that I think they did it twice actually, but no, there was nothing wrong with the match. I thought it was good, and I thought the right person won because Julia's a little bit she's on too much of a hot streak right now to take it off of her, so I get it. And you do protect Abaddon by having the sky blue, so I was fine with all of it. I thought it was a good match. It wasn't like you said, it wasn't like a fucking
it's not top 5 of 2023 or anything, but like what a serviceable match. Like what do you want as a TBS championship match anyway?
Well, I guess that was some people's complaint. It was like, what this could have been a television match, and we have a higher standard for pay-per-view matches or whatever. And I'm just like, it's the TBS title though. Like this is supposed to be the undercard of the women's division, and like you're not gonna have like the high end stuff. Also, everybody goes out thinking let's try to steal the show or whatever, but sometimes that's not actually your role on the card. Sometimes your role is to work as put on a good solid match.
That's weird.
Transition to the next match.
you think that they okay? So do you think they want to be told that they have 8 minutes instead of 15? Like clearly they want to go 15 instead of 8 or whatever the case may be or whatever. Like, but you have to fit it into the confines of the show.
Right.
Like, what are you talking about? Like, and giving them an extra 4 or 5 minutes, was that going to really make the match that much better? Or do you make it short, simple, to the point with the story and get out of there with the story intact and nothing bad happening? You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to think Abaddon and Julia Hart and Sky Blue are all still relatively young in the business too. So like,
Julia's what, 22?
Yeah, Julia's 22. I think Sky's younger than her. So what exactly did you want them to do? Did you want them to go out there and act like they were fucking Julia versus Mercedes Moné? Like what? Like that's not how this works, dude. That's not like they went out there and chose to quote unquote phone it in based off of the chat replies because this was more of a TV match than a pay-per-view match. Shut the fuck up, dude. Shut up.
The match was fine.
You know what a TV match was? Fucking 2 8-mans. That was TV matches. You don't have a problem with those. The first 8-man match was great with BCC and Daniel Garcia and Mark Briscoe. That match was awesome with Roosh, Jay White, all them. That was a great match. The other one, that was a fucking Rampage match. So what are you talking about?
That was a Rampage opener. We
can talk about the 2 8-mans first, and then we'll go to the Tony Storm. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, on the Tony Storm thing, I don't really have much to say. It was pretty much a match that I expected it to be.
Yeah, it was great though. It told the story of what the hell it was supposed to tell though. It was great. Yeah. They had a really fucking solid match, and it also was
Tony's gonna be stronger. Tony's gonna win. That's it.
Yeah, exactly. And then like did all the old school shit, even wore like the old school wrestling gear. And then Luther gets thrown out. The cool spots with Luther, then he gets thrown out because he finally actually had something to do with the actual match by pulling the rope back, so he gets thrown out. And then of course Mariah May.
Did she say about that at the press conference? She said something like, "I hope they didn't kill him" or something.
Yeah,
it's fucking weird.
I hope they didn't put him down or some shit. She said that. Yeah. Oh, the press conference was A+ from her. Like, I don't see how anyone can say she's not the best gimmick of 2023. It's just not possible.
It's up there.
All right, so
I don't know. Action Hydretti.
No,
me over.
No, that's not a gimmick.
It is a gimmick.
It's a gimmick, but it's not a character.
It's not
that's not his character. If that's his character, then no, that's not the best. Repo Man is better than that. Fucking But yeah, no, Tony Storm thing was exactly what I expected as well, and went perfectly. And I even loved I thought it was dumb at first, and then they did it again. And then when Taz changed it and turned it into the storyline of the match, it was awesome. When they cut to her in black and white, like she was getting ready for her close up, and then Rio gets back into the ring, so they go back to the color version, and she gets all pissed off because she fucked up her close up. That was great. Like that's funny to me. I thought that was good shit too. So I don't know, man. It's just people bitching to bitch. I'm very excited about having three women's matches on a pay-per-view card, with one being on 0 Hour and 2 on the main show, because that's exactly how I laid it out that I wanted it to happen going forward from TK and AEW. And then I want 2 women's matches on Collision and 2 on Dynamite and then 1 on Rampage. I don't think that is too much to ask. I really don't. Love the scrum question about the tag titles as well, because I've been an advocate for those, and I think that would get more women on TV. I understand that the division isn't really there, but you can create the division because you have a shit ton of talent. So, and then if they're mainly defended, like if that's your one Rampage match, for instance, that's 4 women in that one match.
I also like Tony pretending she didn't understand that the question was about her and Mariah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't hate either of those matches. I thought they were fine. Let's talk about this.
Can we? So we're talking about the 8-man tag matches. We can agree that the Jericho one was the worst match of the night, right?
Easily. And part of that is the botches and fuck ups. Part of it is like the crowd kept going so back and forth that it made it feels like it threw the wrestlers off, because they were trying to, obviously they're playing to the crowd the whole match, but anytime a heel would get in with Jericho, it completely switched the fucking crowd dynamic. And so they started having to wrestle it different. than they were with the person that they were just in with before them. So
I would like to say this for the other 8-man tag before we get off of it. I want to throw this out there before I forget. The crowd reaction when Jay White and Danielson got in.
Yeah.
I would have loved it if Jay White just tagged the fuck back out to like Brody.
That's why,
yes, I was hoping he would, and we could save that. I wanted to save that so bad. I mean, I'm happy that they got them to lock up in front of the New York crowd or whatever, but part of me really wanted him just to tag out to Brody, and we don't even get to see those two dudes fight until we get to see them in like a singles match or something. That would have been awesome. But I mean, the reaction was awesome. I wish they would have like let it breathe a little bit more, but it could have been a time thing too. So I don't know, but yeah, it was, that part was pretty cool for me.
The Brody Daddy Magic shit, that felt awkward.
No, that was awesome. That was great.
It was a little bit too, to
Too
me,
real for you?
Yeah,
Nah, it wasn't too real.
because he went up and fucking pie faced that man, and then when he got
I
up,
was cursing him
he
out.
was
Yes, on TV. Yes, no, it was
just calling
brutal.
him a
But
fucking bitch like that to his face. I'm like, I don't know if I would just would have fucking like I don't
what
know.
the fuck is Daddy Magic gonna do exactly?
He could have at least fucking shoved him or something.
Not with all the shit that's shoved him and moved him nowhere.
Listen, it's not about whether or not you accomplish anything with it. At that point, it's about your fucking dignity. Like, it felt awkward to me. It felt like a little bit too like
Too real?
too personal. Yeah, it felt like something like beyond that was actually
I
going
don't
on.
remember him
Now-
saying anything on commentary during that match that was like would have been offensive to Brody King though.
Yeah, and well, so during the Daniel Garcia match where House of Black came in and were beating down Daniel, and then
Yeah, and he got on
Daddy
top
Magic
of him. Yeah,
ran
yeah,
in
yeah.
and got on top of him, and then FTR came in and all that shit. He didn't really say anything that bad about Brody during any of that either. So like, I have no idea what the fuck that was about. It seemed real awkward though. But it was very funny to have Jay White popping in and yeah, go get him.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Jay White is a fucking
Jay
menace, dude. Jay White is a
Yeah.
menace for real. Him and Juice Robinson are perfect for each other.
Yeah.
All right, back to the bullshit one though. I'm glad
Yeah.
Sting got a win, but that was not the way I want to see Sting in his last match in New York.
Yeah, Jericho. The Jericho stuff was obviously overshadowing the crowd response, and there were
Do
a
you
lot
think
of
TK
botches.
should have pulled him from the match or had an injury angle or something?
No, because then it just would have created more questions. I think that he played it as well as he could, both with the booking and with the press conference.
You think he played it as well as he could? Oh, you're talking
Yes.
TK.
Yeah.
Okay, I was about to say, because Jericho looked like he was fucking despondent on the outside of the ring.
Yeah.
Like he
No,
wasn't even in
Jericho
it.
was clearly not there headspace wise, which makes sense. And I guess this is where we could talk about it a little bit. So obviously there's an allegation from Nick Hausman that Jericho has forced people to sign NDAs. And then some old stuff from like 2019 started resurfacing where it was basically alleged that Jericho had gotten Kylie Ray to come up to his hotel room under the pretense of there being other people there, and then when she got there it was just him, and the way it's worded is that he made a pass at her, which could mean a lot of different things. Some people are going like all the way into like, oh, he like raped her and shit. Like nobody's fucking said that.
But it was strong enough to freak her out though and get the fuck
Right.
out of her contract.
Right. And
So that it had to be something.
And if there was an NDA signed about it, here's the thing that not a lot of people understand or know. In December of 2022, a federal law passed called the Speak Out Act, that actually makes it unenforceable. It's completely unenforceable to have an NDA related to sexual abuse or harassment. And a lot of people are not aware of this. I was actually working on an employment law case related to this back in September of 2022. And so this law hadn't passed yet. But after it passed, one of the settlement terms in the one that I was working on actually was like, okay, well, you're not allowed to talk about any of this. Here's the settlement amount, sign off, whatever. As of
Now,
December,
question. Now, in 2022, when that was passed, is that proactive though?
retroactive is the word. you're looking
Retroactive.
for.
Yeah. That's what I mean.
And it is retroactive because the way that it's worded is that you cannot bring a dispute under an NDA if it's related to sexual abuse or sexual harassment. So if there was a violation of the signed agreement, if it is related to someone speaking out about harassment or abuse, it does not count. It's unenforceable, no matter what the terms are. You could have signed an NDA that says, I have to give you back all the settlement money and owe you $5 million for damages if I ever say anything about it. And if you did that now, and the issue was sexual abuse or sexual harassment, then there is no way legally that they can actually enforce those provisions because of the subject matter of it. So all that shit is null and void. I'm not sure how many people are aware of that because it's a very specific aspect of like employment slash NDA slash confidentiality law that is a whole fucking thing. But when I was working on that settlement back in 2022 of September, and then that passed like 3 months later, I didn't even know that that was like in Congress. I don't know if it was if it was even written at the time or whatever. Um, but after that passed, I realized, and I told the person I had been working with, I was like, hey, that shit that you signed like 3 months ago, you can say whatever the fuck you want to about it now because they're unable legally to ever enforce any sort of dispute related to a claim like that. So, yeah, I mean, it's been like that for a minute, and I don't know because people keep saying dumb shit. They're like, "Oh, well, she can't say anything more than a heart on Twitter because what if there's an NDA, so she can't talk about." That's not a thing. That's not a thing for
And she
sexual
doesn't
abuse or
want to say
sexual
anything
harassment.
because we already know how Kylie Ray is mentally, and she's not trying to get all that shit fucking put on her, which is what's happening right now anyway because of assholes online. Where is she
Right.
fucking going to mentally fucking check out or regress or whatever and possibly go into a bad place, state of depression or some shit, which she's been known to do in the past, and that's why she's had to leave companies before. So like, that she's probably not fucking saying anymore because she just doesn't want to fucking talk about it, honestly.
Yeah.
Now, if she comes
But
out and starts talking about it, that's what I said earlier, as I don't want to take sides. If Kylie Ray comes out and says exactly what the hell happened or whatever, and it is egregious to the point that we think it is, and it has to be to some degree to sign an NDA to begin with.
maybe. So here's the thing about that too, is that the NDA could have just been Jericho not wanting his fucking wife to find out that he tried.
But like,
So
isn't that well established that Jericho is doing all that all the time, though?
I don't know. I mean,
I
everybody
feel like
talks
a
about
lot
how
of people
he's
know that Jericho cheats on his wife a lot.
yeah, but probably didn't want like a here's the thing too, it'd be embarrassing for him if that's the reason that she left, even if it was like completely unsuccessful and nothing happened. Like if she gets up to his hotel room and he's like, "Oh, do you want to come in?" Like blah blah blah, and she's like, "No," and freaks the fuck out and leaves, and then she leaves the company over it. I think if that came out, that's still embarrassing to him to a degree where he might want an NDA over it. Not saying that's what it was, but if we look at the amount of information that we have, there's a very broad spectrum of like creepy and fucking weird and taking advantage of a position of status, but not like criminal to like criminal. So
Yeah.
everything on that spectrum is in play. Um, Obviously something happened, like him even having her up there with his position and stuff like that is pretty fucking inappropriate.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we can all agree on that much. But I don't know that it's inappropriate to the extent that I would be like fire him either. Um, but it's fucking weird. I would say that he should, if that was the case, if that's what it was, then he should at least go to like some sort of fucking 60-day goddamn sensitivity training. Like, here's why you can't do that shit. Like business conduct stuff. This ain't the fucking 80s anymore, boy. That kind of shit. But I wouldn't call for him to be fired over that necessarily. But if it got to the point of like pressuring, trying to fucking touch any shit like that, no, fucking get rid of him. I don't give a fuck. Immediately. I don't care.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
there's a pretty wide spectrum of what it could be.
that's why I'm trying to like. That's why I don't want to take a position on what TK should do until we find out if we ever find out what it actually was. The other problem is that the people online, dude, the people that just say shit just to say it because it's X, right?
Mhm.
Bashing TK for the way he answered the 3 questions that he was asked about it. One, credit to all 3 of the people that asked, by the way. Because if nobody asked, I would have been pissed. I hate it when fucking people go into these scrums and they don't ask what the fuck. Everybody wants them to ask on there, online.
Right.
So even if it was just one person that asked, I would have been cool with it. But 3 people asking to let Tony Khan know that, hey, people are fucking taking this seriously. We've asked you 3 times about this. So clearly there's something going on here.
Mm-hmm.
They asked more questions about that than they did when fucking about Punk. Okay?
Yeah.
So like they knew TK needed to know about this shit if he didn't already. And I don't know the extent of his knowledge on it, obviously, because like everybody just assumes that TK takes care of every little fucking aspect of the company, which is not the case at all.
That's the thing too. The NDA didn't even necessarily need to involve him at all because they don't. It could be a private NDA between individuals. But yeah, it's not
It was
likely,
smart enough to
but it is
keep Jericho off the scrum, though.
right, and it's not likely, but it is plausible that he didn't know anything. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot.
Or he didn't
where
know.
I'm like,
I mean, he might have known something happened, or maybe Kylie didn't tell him or anything, and he just said,
and then
"Yeah,
Jericho got to tell his story and was like, "Oh, it's,
Yes, whatever.
I hit on her a little
We
bit.
won't
She
know all
was
that till
weird.
it all comes out. But here's the other thing: is like we say whatever the fuck we want on X, and we throw out all these accusations, or we're judge, jury, executioner on X, and then you expect TK, the owner of a fucking multi-million-dollar company, to do the exact same shit. That's not how that works. That's not how it's ever worked. That's not how it's ever going to work. This man is in charge of a fucking multi-million-dollar company. He's not just gonna come out there and go based off of fucking Nick Hausman fucking reports that, and then make fucking decisions in front of you after a fucking pay-per-view. That's not how that works.
Yeah, but the problem is going to be if it comes out later that he's known the whole time, people are going to get real weird about it. Which then at that point, all he has to say is, "Look, like she didn't want me to say anything publicly, so I didn't." And then he
So
looks
why
fine too.
why do you, is that the, and then that seems to be like a lot of the big reason why people are mad at Nick Hausman, even though he's the one that came out and
they're
said it.
mad at him because he brought it up in response to a fucking Twitter beef, and is pretending like it was such a principled thing to do. Like, oh, you've been sitting on this whole time, but you didn't mention it to anybody until one of them made you mad on Twitter. Like, that's
Yeah,
fucking
it's not
lame.
like Kylie Ray just said, okay, now you can talk about it.
Right. Yeah. So no, that's why people are mad at him. But no, he's a fucking weirdo too. Uh yeah, whole thing is at this point there's not nearly enough information to say one way or the other what should be done about it. Um but it's making enough noise now that I don't think they're going to be able to just ignore it forever, or it's going to really distract from like every fucking Jericho match for the impending future, because it was fucking this one up bad.
I mean, he was already toting the line anyway with his wife and the January 6th shit and all that kind of shit anyway, where people are going back and forth.
Did you say toting the line?
Yeah.
It's towing.
Towing. I said towing the line.
You said toting.
No, I didn't say toting.
Like a brown frog
It's cold in
derivative.
here. It's cold in here. I could be fucking up some words. I do fuck up words all the time, but it's fucking freezing over here in this corner. I'm just gonna be real with you. But
I
towing
didn't know
the
if you
line.
thought that meant like hopping onto it and then
No.
going back.
I mean,
Okay.
he's doing that too. he's doing that
toting
too.
the line.
He's doing that too, bro. Like he's always been someone that like I would say that he's always been someone that like left-leaning people are like cautious of, because they see the shit that he does, but then he also does a lot of good shit too, like donating to fucking people and charities and stuff like that. But then he's got this wife that won't shut the fuck up on social media and is a huge right-wing fucking person and was there on January 6th and shit like that.
He's fucking Canadian. What do you mean?
Well, actually he's from New York, but he's actually from New York, but
he's Canadian.
He was born in New York. So
He's
anyway,
Winnipeg, you idiot.
but but yeah, so like that's always been a thing. So I guess people trying to give him the benefit of the doubt, and then it's like, okay, now this might be the final straw, and Jericho might be kicked the fuck out. I will tell you right now, if it comes out at all that he tried to touch her or do anything like that, or imply that he wanted to have sex with, like, I'm fully going to be on Kylie Ray's side. Like, let's get no qualms about that whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I'm just not going to comment on it until I find out more information. And I don't think that's a bad position to have, honestly.
I think even in the best case scenario, which is he had her come up to his hotel room and was like, "Hey, do you want to like spend some time together?" And then she freaked out. That's still weird enough for me to be like, you should know that that's not good with your position in the company and her position in the company at the time. But it's like I said, like that's a very broad spectrum from that to like, oh, he like held her up against the wall and was like trying to make her out with her or some shit. Like those are two diametrically opposed things, both of which are wrong, and both of which I put Jericho in the wrong about. But when it comes to what the reaction is to them, I think they would be very different on behalf of the company. So
yeah, you can be scummy and not have to lose your job. There's a lot of scummy people that I work with that aren't going to lose their jobs, right? Like, but like if it goes a little, you'll know when it crosses the line. If it crosses the line, then no, get them the fuck out of there. And I have zero issue with it. But yeah, that's pretty much my feelings on it at the moment. Let's talk Andrade Miro, the meat match.
Well, the match was fine.
Yeah, until the end.
Story.
Yeah, the ending.
Why even do all this shit with CJ at all if the end of it is going to be?
But here's the thing: is like I understand that people don't want them together, and I get all that, and it doesn't make any sense. But I don't hate it as much as other people, because you know why? Because Miro didn't embrace her or anything. Miro was still cautious of her, Miro doesn't want her there in AEW at all because he says that she's a distraction. So even though she helped him, it doesn't make sense from the CJ Perry standpoint. But I'm still glad that Miro didn't just like go up to her and hug her and shit and like, oh yeah, we're back together. Miro is still like away off of it, like distancing himself from her. So I'll have to see where they go with it, but I understand what everybody was saying, but I just didn't hate it as much as everybody else until we find out where the fuck the story is actually going.
Yeah, it's not that I hated it. It made a lot of it make no sense. Like it made a lot of shit earlier.
Well, I mean, let's be real.
Sense.
It happened because Andrade's going to fucking WWE.
Maybe. I mean,
that's why this happened.
Well, here's the thing. Andrade just started back with CMLL for the first time in a while, and I don't
know what they could have done that would have made this make a lot more sense, Ryan. Is they could have had Miro win, leave, CJ fucking low blow Andrade while she's consoling him or something, and then somebody debuts and that's her new client, like a Nick Nemeth or a Ali or a Benjamin or somebody like that.
Oh fuck! Out. I completely forgot Shelton Benjamin was a free agent.
Yeah.
Damn. I don't know how I forgot. Yeah, that's true. Okay. Well, that's true too. I will say I'm glad that she still has her finger.
Yeah, that was brutal.
God nasty. Damn. That's some rotten.com shit for all you old people.
Speaking of that, why did she bring up the finger when she was arguing with Miro?
I don't know.
That didn't make any sense.
It did make any sense.
My infected finger. Like what? That didn't make any sense.
She was acting like he did it to her.
Yeah, like what the fuck? Maybe he made her pick up the pallet that had the wood or something. I don't fucking know.
Maybe.
I don't know. What the hell is going on? That part was so weird to me.
How do you get an infection that bad from a splinter? That's the crazy thing.
That's what happens when you don't wash your hands.
She must have just not fucking ignored, or must have ignored it for a while.
Oh, she definitely ignored it.
Because I've had splinters before, and I've had a lot of fucking splinters because I walk around.
I've had a splinter like literally fold up into my hand, and it's probably still in there somewhere. But it's
that's so weird.
Luckily, it wasn't dirty enough to infect my body. That's crazy, dude.
Fucking rats pissed on or something because that was gnarly. But yeah, I have no idea, man. The whole. Hopefully, it just leads to them being like a normal goddamn manager guy setup again, because the less complicated that whole thing is, I think the better it works.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it's either go to somebody else and distance themselves, or just put them together and not do any kind of relationship shit. Do like what they did with early NXT and early main roster Rusev with fucking CJ Perry, who barely talks or something like that.
Just do it like the fucking Zelina Andrade thing.
Yeah.
Where they're not fucking kissing, they're not like, because they're not a couple. And I understand that these two are actually married in real life or whatever, but I just feel like manager setups work better when it's a manager setup. Which is why Zelina and Andrade work so well. So
all right, let's talk Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Now, obviously, we both got the dub for this, but then 5 minutes later, there was another match added to the card, and we didn't get a chance to pick that one. But Adam Copeland beats Christian Cage for the TNT title, and then Heel Switch comes out, and before he can give the contract to the ref, Christian convinces him to give him the contract. He loved the touch of him signing his own name, crossing out Luchasaurus's name and signing his name. That was great. That was a nice little touch. I like that. And then Christian goes and pins Adam Copeland like literally 5 minutes later and wins the title back. All right, so I thought the match was great, obviously. There was only one little mess up, and I don't even know if it was a mess up or not when they had to relight the table. But because the initial person didn't go through it, and we already know how fast lighter fluid lights up or goes out or whatever. Mm-hmm. I was more concerned with there being no table left to get put through when they were going to relight it.
Well, that's the thing too. It burns off that material, but it burns off so quick that it doesn't stay hot enough to burn the material underneath it, which is why you see that.
It wouldn't have mattered anyway because Nick Wayne barely touched it, so it wouldn't have even mattered.
Yeah.
I could have just went through the wall of fire.
Those, like the stupid little parlor tricks where somebody will douse their hand in a little bit of it, and
yeah,
because it doesn't.
Why
really
did they get the world's smallest bottles of lighter fluid? There was no big lighter fluid anywhere. I've got a huge fucking thing of lighter fluid.
That's the thing too. When they pulled the thing back and I saw that there were two, I was like, damn, that they must have been worried that one of them would get fucked up or something. And then when they did the relight spot, that's when I was kind of like, oh, okay, I think they planned
Like
the whole
somebody
time.
found those on very short notice or something. That was
Yeah.
crazy. But anyway, the match, I thought the match was really fucking good. It was really weird that the crowd did it at one point chant "We want fire," and then they ended up getting fire. That was crazy because I was like, "We want fire." Like they're not gonna do fire in this fucking match, and they
I
ended up
don't
doing
like "We want tables" chants anyway. Every time the crowd does that, I'm just like, let them have the fucking match they're gonna have. Like that shit is real lame to me. Like
Yeah.
let them lay out the match. They're the ones having the match. If they do tables, cool. But "we want tables," shut the fuck up, dude. Just shut up.
Yeah,
I hate that shit.
would you put that as your number 2 most hated chant behind the what chants?
Probably number 3. I think my first worst fucking hated chant was the time that NXT chanted "We are awesome." I just
Yeah,
wanted
but that's not a
everyone in
thing that they do all the time. That was a one-time thing. I don't
I
count
wanted
that.
everyone in that arena to die. Aside from that,
All right, so there's a few chants that I hate. What chant is
Okay.
definitely number 1 for me. I cannot fucking stand the what chant. Number
Mhm.
2 is unless Austin's out there. If Austin's out there, I'm cool with it. Or if it's on the Pat McAfee show, I'm cool with that. Number 2 is This Is Awesome.
yeah.
The "This Is Awesome" chant has been so fucking watered down that you'll chant it to anything now. You'll have a whole shitty card on SmackDown, and then you have a match that goes over 5 minutes, and magically "This Is Awesome" chants break out. No, it's not. It's regular. It's not awesome. It's fucking stop chanting "This Is Awesome" at shit that's not awesome.
But he did a DDT.
He fucking did a DDT and they both laid out, and now they're both sprawled out on their mat, and the ref's got to make a double count and it gets up on a 7. Oh, this is awesome. No, it's not. No, it's not.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that one either.
We might have to do a top 5, our top 5 most hated chants. That might have to be a Jack to the drawing board situation. I might do that.
I don't like "You Still Got It."
I was gonna say, it crossed my mind. I don't hate it depending on if the person that they're chanting it to actually did something worth a shit. You
Or if
can't
it's like
chant
Ricky
"You Still
Morton.
Got It" and you did one move.
Yeah.
No,
I don't
that's not how
like-
that works.
I don't like it.
RVD
for-
saying people chant "RVD, you still got it." I'm cool with that. He had a whole fucking match and did all the shit that he usually does. Yes, he still has it. I agree with you. You still got it. Let him know. But if you get in there and you're Arn Anderson and you hit a DDT on somebody and they say start chanting "You still got it" because he did one DDT, no.
He still got a spine buster and he still got a DDT. He's good.
Yeah, like you still got it. Really took no
that
bumps.
was his whole moveset, so he still got it. Like I don't know. I almost hate it less for older guys because it's sort of like I hate it. I think I hate it less for Arn Anderson and like Ricky Morton or whatever because it's kind of like a respect
Ricky
thing.
Morton can do way more than Arn Anderson can. God.
I understand, but what
Okay.
I'm saying is that
Alright.
like when they do it for like when Edge wrestles and they're like, oh yeah, you still got it, or like if fucking when CM Punk came back and they were chanting it at that house show or whatever, I'm just like, he's been wrestling. What the fuck do you mean? He's been wrestling the whole time.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. But that's very rare that they do that, and that's just a wrong chant anyway. That's just a wrong chant.
You deserve it. I'm not crazy about.
Oh, come on. The "You Deserve It" chant for Eddie was great.
It was for Eddie because Eddie is someone that doesn't feel like he
So
always
we're in
deserves it.
agreement
So
that
it's
some of these
different.
chants are only cringe because of the placement of them.
And the target of them, yeah. "You Deserve It" is funnier when something bad happens to a heel.
Yeah, that's funny. Like when
I like that one.
that's rare. I wish they would do that more. They did that to MJF one time.
They should have done it to MJF.
Didn't they do that to
last
MJF
night.
when he got squashed by Wardlow? Didn't they
Wardlow,
chant "You
yeah.
deserve him" or "You deserve it"? Yeah, that was pretty good.
They should have done it last night, but it was Long Island, so they weren't going to.
Yeah,
That would
that's
have been
true.
funny.
Or "You deserve this." You deserve this. Yeah, that would have been great. I know a lot of people have a problem with the "Fight Forever" chant. I don't technically.
Yeah.
It's hit or miss for me as well, but most chants are, like we were talking about. I think I'm gonna have to dive into this a little bit more though, and come up with a top 5. I think for next year for Jack to the drawing board.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, let's get
Top
back to
10
the
maybe.
show though. So,
Mhm.
so he does give it to Christian. Christian wins it. What do you think about all that? Because I know you texted me and said I know a lot of people are gonna be split on that, but I actually really loved it. And by the way, I'm on your side on that.
Yeah.
So explain why that is. I'll go ahead and quickly say it's because I didn't want to see fucking Killswitch as TNT champion. But go ahead.
There's that. there's also, it just fits perfectly in everyone's character. So Copeland gets the win because that's who he is. He's technically like the better, stronger competitor. Christian is the more conniving character, and Luchasaurus is sort of, for whatever reason,
He's
like
the heater.
beholden to whatever Christian
Yeah,
says.
but he's also the heater, and he needs that in his stable, so it puts
Right.
him back where he's supposed to be.
Exactly. And it just worked out really well for everyone. It gave Christian his comeuppance just long enough for him to like swindle his fucking way back in, which is so perfect for his character.
Yeah, because he had to do some quick thinking to get that title fucking back as fast as possible.
Right.
Because I think secretly he knows that Copeland telling him that once you lose that TNT title, everybody's going to turn on you.
Yep.
That made him fucking flip like, oh God, I just lost the thing. Now I'm going to lose everything. And then finds the fastest way to get the title back.
Yeah, I agree. I think another cool way that they could have done it, and I think I even messaged you this, or maybe we talked about it on the prediction show. But another cool way to do it would have been to have Luchasaurus just take the title off of Copeland, and then you have Christian and Copeland sitting in the fucking ring, neither one of them with the title, both of them beaten up, and they both just kind of look at each other like, fuck, like us fighting each other, now we have nothing. And then that's how you start their tag angle or whatever. Which could have worked too, but I don't like the idea of Christian not being them changing him off of his trajectory when he's like pretty much the best heel that they have going right now, unless they do, depends on where the Adam Cole stuff goes. But easily like the best heel that they have going right now, him and Swerve.
You know who I'm excited for the most out of the Devil reveal is the Kingdom, because I've been a big fan of the Kingdom, as you know. I know you haven't always been, but I love Matt Taven, and I think Mike Bennett is also underrated as fuck. And them getting back with them and getting the shine, and they're going to start getting dubs now, and obviously they're the tag champs. So I think that is going to catapult them into a spot that I wish they would have been earlier on, but I'm happy with the wait, honestly. Like, this is going to be awesome. I
wasn't crazy about O'Reilly not being there.
Yeah, I feel like he was supposed to be over Wardlow, possibly.
Well,
or maybe even another
weird,
person.
Right? Because why is Wardlow like openly fucking harassing, threatening, shoving MJF up against walls backstage and shit? And then he's like, "Oh no, I have to put on a mask to beat you up now."
Nah, it's an in plain sight type situation. What are you talking about? Yeah, it's an in plain sight. Like, whatever. Okay, it can't possibly be Wardlow because he's already fucking literally confronted me to my fucking face. But then it ends up being him anyway as part of it as well.
Well, he came out to the ring one night with his hair fucked up right after a Devil segment, and people were like, "Oh, well,
yeah, I know. I saw
take off his mask or whatever."
Yeah. And then I called it as soon as they came in the ring. I was like, the dude with the chair is clearly Roddy. It's clearly Roddy, the dude with the chair. I was like, this is definitely about to be Cole turning. This is going to be awesome.
Well, during the Jay White attack, you could see that one of the masked dudes had a fucking neck brace. I already knew
so
Roddy
good.
was one of them.
It's so good. They did that shit so good to me. All right, let's talk about something, and this is going to be real quick because it wasn't the match that we were supposed to get. Swerve versus Dustin Rhodes. Keith Lee tried to go, literally posted on Twitter that he was going to try to work through it. The doctors wouldn't clear him. He gets replaced by his tag team partner, so it's his former 2 tag team partners going against each other. Then the only thing I don't like about this match is that the match should have never happened. Based off of how it started, they should have just called the match instead of doing this dumb Mankind fucking shit at Hell in a Cell against Undertaker, or MJF against Jay White, where this motherfucker going to come back in there. And you didn't have a shot to begin with, first of all. Then you got your ankle shattered against a cinder block with the fucking Swerve Stomp move, which is his finisher. And then you went back in there and like did you really think people were going to try to get behind Dustin Rhodes? No.
Yeah.
I thought they gave other matches like Statlander and Willow and the open and 8-man tag with BCC and shit more time. Because I was like saying to the guys that came over to watch it with me, I was like, dude, these matches are going a little bit longer than I thought. I was like, what the hell's going on? And then I was like putting 2 and 2 together when the Swerve match started. I was like, oh, maybe they had to take time from this one because this match was supposed to be longer because it was supposed to be Lee versus Swerve. They gave it to them. But then it ended up being longer than it should have been anyway. And then I know that he went back and forth with some people on Twitter saying, fuck you, because they said this match shouldn't have been over 30 seconds. And he got pissed off, Dustin. So he said, fuck you. And then he said, well, fuck you too. And all this stuff. And I'm sitting there like, nah, they're right, Dustin. Like, you were in no position to compete on Swerve with the way that Swerve's been being pushed, and you're not even being on TV except for the occasional Dallas fucking Rampage. Like, no, like, Swerve should have, like, the match should have never even taken place to me.
Here's where I was at with it. And I texted you this too. And I said, basically, if they're gonna tell the story that Keith Lee can't wrestle because he's not medically cleared, and then do a pre-match angle where Swerve basically fucking breaks his ankle on a cinder block with the head of the medical shit out there. Doc Samson's literally standing out there right beside him.
Doc Samson's in the corner saying,
telling
okay,
him,
yeah,
"Oh,
I
you
guess
can't
he's
wrestle.
going.
You can't wrestle."
I guess he's gonna go.
Yeah, he's not medically cleared either, motherfucker. If Doc Samson's standing there right there telling him, like, "No, you can't go in there," how's he medically cleared?
Crazy.
The whole thing didn't make any sense.
Crazy.
So yeah, I
wish
did
somebody
like
would have
that.
asked TK that at the fucking press conference. Because
Yeah.
they brought up Keith Lee a couple times when Swerve was doing his scrum thing, and it would have been hilarious if somebody said, so why was it okay for Keith Lee to not get cleared, but then Dustin, who had his ankle shattered against the cinder block before the match, was
he's
able to
medically
go
cleared.
out there and still compete?
Ring that bell, baby.
Can someone explain that to me?
Yeah.
And see what they do, because it's obviously kayfabe. So, like, it would have been so funny to see how TK would have reacted to that. It was like, oh, two different circumstances. Oh, you mean two different realities, guy? Because one's kayfabe, one's not. Like, that would have been so funny to me if somebody would have asked that question.
We should try to get press credentials just to pick out fucking.
I
holes in
want
kayfabe
to
in
so bad for one, at least for one show, would be so great. I definitely know I could do better than Steve Fall, who is so fucking annoying. But he did ask the one about the women's tag title, so I'm cool with him. Like, he was 1 for 3. The other two questions are fucking astronomically stupid, and he has this weird, creepy vibe about him. I'm just listening to his voice. I don't watch him or anything. I didn't even know who he was until people started mentioning who he was, and I was like, oh, that's who that is. Okay, so I'm not the only one that's like noticing this dude. Like, just he has a lot of energy or whatever, but he's just weird. Like, he just comes off as weird to me. I don't know the dude. He might be a good dude. I don't know, but those first two questions, I was like, please don't let him ask any more questions. And then the third question was about the tag titles, and I was like, oh, he redeemed himself. Good job, guy. Good job. But no, that's not. We can take his spot. I can take his spot. I can ask some questions. I won't even know who the fuck's in the scrum, and I'll have a good question, at least one good question for everybody that was at the fucking show or on the roster, and I'll be ready. I'll fucking be ready for him. Like, there's some of these questions, dude. Some of these questions,
I would have asked the same thing.
When are you going to start teaching how to dance, Garcia? No! Why are we wasting questions on that?
I would have asked the same thing after the Adam Cole stepping in to wrestle Jay White thing. Like, how is Adam Cole medically cleared to start a match with Jay White? How the fuck does that make any sense?
Yeah,
You're just gonna let him go out there and do that?
Or MJF. Why was he medically cleared to go against Jay White that same night?
Yeah. Well, he made it back under his own power.
Why was he not arrested in the middle of the match?
Why is he not arrested? Why is Swerve not arrested for breaking a man's leg?
If we're gonna blur the lines between kayfabe and reality, let's fucking do it, baby. Let's go.
Yeah.
I'll bring this whole shit down.
I would have, in the audience, I would have called the police.
All right, let's go to the main event, the final match of our review here. This has been a long review, but it's okay. Samoa Joe wins the title. We both called it, obviously. With the Players Tribune post that MJF had, it was almost a, I won't say farewell to AEW because we don't know if he's coming back. I think he actually is going to come back, but just because of the Devil storyline,
like a year ago, so.
Just because of the Devil storyline, I think he's going to come back.
You got to finish that up.
He's clearly taking time off to deal with some injuries, right? It was necessary. He was over a year as champion. I think he's had the best AEW world title reign of anybody so far as match quality, stories going into the matches. He started out as heel and turned face in the middle of the fucking same reign. Like, I just think his whole overall reign has been the best overall world championship reign so far. Like, Omega's a close second, but I think MJF wrestled more, and he had more defenses, and he had the title longer, and he had stories going into every single one of his matches. So, not that Kenny didn't, but I just feel like there was more depth to MJF stories for all his matches.
Yeah, and the problem with the Omega run too is that you had stuff in there like the matches where you knew he wasn't going to lose. So like the Rich Swann stuff that they were doing in Impact, and like I think it was like a big match that they built up with like Jungle Boy at one point too, obviously. So there are a couple programs where it was like, there's no way this guy's gonna fucking beat him. Where pretty much every program that MJF had, there was a chance he might not win it. When we thought, well, there was as soon as we realized that Punk was not gonna be there anymore anyway. Which was also a big part of it too. So as soon as Punk was gone, it was pretty obvious. Like, okay, well,
I think that prolonged his reign, honestly, because Punk would have taken off on for sure. So Punk being gone helped his reign and I think helped his character development too. And then getting to Cole, and then I don't even know if that was supposed to be a long-term plan to begin with. It didn't feel like it was. And then when those fucking segments started getting super over with the bro sessions and stuff, like it was like, okay, we got to run with this. This is too good. And it just morphed into something. And that's usually the best wrestling storylines, honestly, is something that happens organically and then you just build off of it, because it's the base was the base work, or the foundation of it was built by the fans' reaction, and then you just build off of that. But Samoa Joe definitely deserves this. I can't believe he was only one-time TNA World Champion, by the way. Somebody listed his accomplishments, so it's like, damn, I feel like he had the world title more than that. But he was like 5 times X Division champion, 2-time US champion, 0 times world champion in WWE, and now he's finally a world champion in AEW. So this is like his first major company world championship. Like, that's crazy to me that we're talking about that 2023, the end of 2023. Samoa Joe finally gets a fucking world title.
I mean, I feel like Ring of Honor is a major company, right? But still, yeah, I get what you're saying. Yeah.
Not when he won it. No, it wasn't.
That's true too, I guess. I mean, he feels like the guy right now.
Dude, he came off so cool. Him and Garcia came off so cool in the scrums. So, the Samoa Joe press conference scrum, like, obviously throwing shots at past stuff that happened. He threw a little shade at Punk's way, I think, too, by the way that he phrased, hey, everybody's getting in fights backstage, but nobody wants to come and get in a fight with me type deal. That was fucking funny. He just has that Taz aura about him, I think.
Yeah.
Like, he's just going to fucking go out there and beat the shit out of you. And I love that about Samoa Joe, and I'm so glad that he gets the title attached to him with it now. So, like, if there was another You Deserve It chance, it should have been him, but he had to get out of the ring because of the devil storyline. But yeah, Samoa Joe definitely deserves it. For somebody that everybody just posts the pictures of because they feel so bad for him at WrestleMania when he's standing outside in the fucking rain with Michael Cole, instead of being on the goddamn show, even though he was cleared, to a dude that got hurt during a fucking commercial shoot, going through a table for a commercial for WWE, and then being off TV again, and then getting released twice in WWE to be world champion in AEW, dude. Like, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. I think he's the right guy for right now. I think I even said when we were doing the prediction show, I think the path should be something like Joe gets it here, and then I forget who I said gets next, but basically the what you're looking at is like a Swerve and then an Osprey run too, over the next year probably. So I don't know in what order they do that. But I could see Joe being
they
like
do
a 6,
Swerve
7 month
first.
champion.
If they do Swerve first and then have Swerve versus Osprey at fucking All In, with the video that keeps circling with them dancing in the ring together, like, that would be cool as fuck if those two dudes were just in the main event of All In for the world title, and it's Swerve versus Osprey. I mean, even if Osprey takes it off of him, I think it would still be so fucking cool for Swerve, honestly. Especially if Swerve has like a really good run with it, like a Hangman type run, where it's like you're putting on bangers and bangers with literally a different person every pay-per-view type deal, which is what Hangman's run was. Hangman didn't have a lot of story depth in his reign, but his matches and the stipulations for the matches and always fighting against somebody different, like a fucking Bret Hart, when Bret Hart had it type deal. Bret Hart didn't have a lot of storylines going into his world title matches, but he was always defending it against, like, he defended against PCO, he defended against Papa Shango, he's putting on bangers with these dudes that don't usually have fucking bangers, and then that's why he's looked back at so fondly as a champion. I think that's a similar way we'll look back at Adam Page. I think a lot of people took his run for granted with his matches against Archer and fucking Brian Cage and shit like that. So Adam Cole. So like those matches I think are kind of lost in the shuffle, but I think 5-10 years from now we're gonna be like, oh man, Adam Page actually had a like really nice fucking run with the title. Just wasn't story driven.
Yeah. I mean, and in the same vein, Omega did too. Omega has a couple of defenses in his reign that people don't really remember either when they think about his run. But he had like the Rey Fenix match at it was like one of their TV branded ones, like New Year Smash or something like that. There was the whole Orange Cassidy and Pac thing at Double or Nothing, the 3-way.
Yeah, don't forget, I think he won the title at Winter is Coming against Moxley as well on TV.
So yeah, like there's a lot of stuff like that where it's like, you know, it wasn't there was a little bit of story there, but it wasn't like a whole fucking narrative thing with months of history or anything like that, especially with the Orange Cassidy thing.
Yeah, so if Swerve gets something like that and then loses at Osprey, I think it'll look pretty good. As long as it's not a fucking, hey, you're gonna have this title, you're gonna have this title, you're gonna have this title, and we go to All In and you lose in 12 seconds to Brock Lesnar at All In, then we're good. Then we're good. Like, if you're gonna be the first Black African American championship, which I believe that we're on the same page that he should be, for AEW.
I don't know who else it would be.
Like, I mean, there's other people, but you'd have to position them. So it would take time to position them when he's already there. So like, I could see a Keith Lee being it if he ever gets over the health issues, but then you'd have to rebuild him up type deal.
I don't know who else it would be based on their position on the card. Like,
yeah, right now. Yeah. No, there's no brainer. It's him for sure. By the way, shout out to Brian Keith, who I saw in the Battle Royal. That was pretty cool.
I think he was my early. I was like, oh, it could be Brian Keith in the winning the Battle Royal.
That would be cool. That would
and
be
then
cool
I was
too.
like, oh, okay, well, no.
You know what would have been cool is if Brian Keith would have won it, and then Christian tried to do the same thing with him, but Brian Keith says fucking no, and then Christian like beats his ass and then takes it from him and then signs his name. That could have worked too with somebody instead of forcing Luchasaurus into giving it to him type deal. I understand why they did it that way. But I'm just saying, like, you could have helped build up somebody else in the same way.
Yeah, because then it gives him an automatic rematch too.
Yeah,
on
exactly.
Television. Yeah.
Like Tony Khan would have clearly gave a title match to Brian Keith for sure. Anyway, Samoa Joe. Let's go back to Samoa Joe. Go. Your thoughts on him winning the title?
It's the right guy at the right time. It just feels like the right brand ambassador, the right amount of credibility, the right amount of like history behind him. There's a lot of good matches that he can have. He's at that point in his career right now where you kind of thought he was winding down a little bit ago. It's clearly not. He's gotten a lot of. He's also a guy that can take a loss without it completely ruining his credibility. So he's a good guy to have the belt because whenever you want to change it, you can have somebody come in and incredibly beat him. He's lost to people before where you were kind of like, oh, well, that's because MJF beat him, obviously. You've had him lose in like tournament environments in the past. You've had him lose television matches in the past. He lost with when he was king of television, and it wasn't really that big of a deal. He lost to Darby, didn't he? So this is a guy that is credible as world champion, but when they're ready to take it off of him,
no, I agree with that. That's I was thinking about that last night as well. I was like, yeah, you know what, Samoa Joe's a great thing because he's not necessarily going to have a 9-month reign either, but he can still be dominant in a like 4 or 5 month reign and then lose it at like Double or Nothing or something like that, and it'll make sense.
It doesn't hurt him at all, and still builds him up as like a big threat for anybody in the future too. No, I like this as a choice. I think this is more the direction they need to go in, where they stop doing the Roman Reigns shit. Where every champion has to.
Well, that's just because that's also because the roster's so good right now too.
Yeah,
the Roman Reigns thing, they have to do that because they have nobody else built up because they've used Roman to destroy everybody. In AEW, with all the titles that they have and how important they make the other titles, which WWE does not do, those motherfuckers are ready to be catapulted to the world title. So it's always like, man, this person should have been world champion already. Claudio, Jay White, Samoa Joe, Swerve Strickland, Keith Lee at one point before he started getting hurt. Stuff like that. Like, okay, these guys should be champ. Roosh, a lot of people want Roosh to have a title. A lot of people want Garcia to have a mid-card title, like instead of Orange Cassidy holding like the international title or something like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other guys out there that are all getting fucking pushed pretty well on the undercard, but then you have these long world title reigns, so it's hard for them to get to that top part unless they're going to take an L like Jay White did against MJF, etc. So even Adam Cole hasn't broken through to a world championship, and he's had multiple chances at it as well. Danielson hasn't even had a world championship. Like, there's an insane amount of talent on the roster. So like, yes, I'd be much more welcoming right now in this stage of AEW to have 4 or 5 month reigns instead of 9-12 months reigns.
And they have enough TV where you can tell plenty of story. He can have 3 different fucking well-storied programs before losing it at a pay-per-view. Like that.
I don't understand. Like, dude, Battle of the Belts, bro. Battle of the Belts. Can we get a fucking title change on Battle of the Belts? I don't need it to be the world title necessarily, but goddamn, any title. Can we change it? Can we change it? Fuck. But anyway, yes, I agree with you. Samoa Joe, definitely the right call, especially if that's the way they go. And based off the way they've booked him in the past, it seems like that would not be any different now. Like, obviously out the gate, he's not going to lose, right? Like Revolution, he'll probably win at Revolution. But like after that, like there's a chance that he could lose, depending on who it is, for sure.
I'll
Um,
get to see because I got my tickets for that. So that's sick.
overall, how long do you think Max is out before he comes back to approach the devil and his worshippers, or whatever the fuck they're gonna call? I don't know what the fuck they're gonna call these dudes. I don't know if
They
they're gonna come up
can't.
with a whole new name or what, but
I know that he's okay. So the way that he'd written his Players Tribune article and the way that Sean Ross Sapp was reporting it on Fightful Select, like he is hurt. His hip is legitimately fucked up, probably from that goddamn elbow drop to the floor that he tried on Jay White. Um, so he does have to go get some stuff done. Did you watch his you know that chiropractor dude on
yeah,
YouTube?
I saw his episode. Well, I
God
think I saw
damn.
like the condensed version of his. Yeah, because a lot of those are like fucking an hour long or whatever. But
Yeah, I watched the Kenny Omega one and I watched the MJF one. And the MJF one, his body seems pretty. The guy's like pretty surprised how fucked up his body is for being his age. And especially working the style that he does, you wouldn't think like that he'd have so much going on. But you also have to remember that MJF, whether he admits it or not, he is on PEDs. Like this is not a big secret to anybody
the other
who's
thing
ever
is
used them.
that because a lot of people still associate MJF with not ever wrestling, but this year he's wrestled more probably than he has his entire career combined.
Yes, and he is a fucking like people when you ask like, oh, who's a workhorse in AEW or whatever, it's probably not the first person to come to mind, but he's wrestled a lot because he's been doing the tag stuff for the ROH tags and the what sometimes he's pulled double duty on cards because of that. So no, he's to act like he hasn't been putting in work is crazy. Now the as I was getting at, like he is young, but he's definitely on PEDs, and I don't have a problem with that. I think I've made my position on that pretty fucking clear. I don't care. I've been on them in my early 20s. It's not a big deal. If you use them responsibly and in a healthy way, it's not a problem. He's clearly on them. Anybody in denial about this is fucking retarded. I don't care. And I'm not going to argue with you about it because I know more about this than you do. Okay, but he is on performance enhancing drugs. That's okay. But it has benefits when it comes to recovery, but it also has downsides when it comes to like longevity. So I think that in the months that he takes off, he should probably go off cycle for a little bit, do some rehab. If he wants to get back on cycle before he comes back, that's completely understandable too, to be like TV ready, whatever. A lot of people do that. AJ Styles obviously recently did that. Orton recently did that. They can call it TRT all they want, but those are not fucking therapeutic doses. Okay, you don't get that on a therapeutic dose. Edge clearly on like anybody you see over the age of like 45 that looks like that, let's not be fucking stupid, okay? But MJF obviously younger
Ali
guy.
right now.
Ali definitely.
Did you see that picture?
He looks fucking great though, doesn't he? Jesus Christ.
Oh, he looks great. All right, he looks like he called up fucking Buddy Matthews as soon as he
He
fucking
looks
got
like
released.
he called up Pac.
Yeah,
God
one of them,
damn.
or they could have both called up Pac instead. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I know he's friends with Buddy Matthews. They could have all been together, like, oh, no more cruiserweight classics for us, motherfuckers.
Yeah,
Let's
like-
go.
That fucking Trembolone right now. But no, he looks great too. But yeah, it might be a good time for him to go off cycle a little bit. Maybe, and this is again, I'm not hating on the man. It happens to everybody. My hairline's not fucking perfect either, but you do notice MJF's hairline is going. And that he uses like that paint cover up stuff, the coloration cover up stuff. Like if he wants to take a couple months off to work on his overall presentation, he could go get a fucking hair transplant, come off cycle, do some rehab, be off TV for a little while all that shit's going on, and then come back and be pretty much like good to go again. Run his Adam Cole story. I would say that like between rehab, going off cycle for a bit, going back on, if he wants to do something about the hairline, he can. I wouldn't be surprised if he doesn't come back to like May. The only problem with that is that that's a really fucking long time to do the devil stuff without MJF being part of it. So I don't know what the balance is between that. You know what I mean?
That's why I wish he would have made an extra friend so they could beat up on that guy until MJF comes back.
Well, the
'Cause, like,
Acclaimed,
they literally lost everybody.
kind of.
Oh yeah, I know,
right?
but you can't do that for fucking 4 months though.
You can because you've got a built-in trio in the group.
Do you think they lose the trios titles to them?
Maybe you do like a Wardlow in the Kingdom or Roddy in the Kingdom, whoever you want to do it with.
Or Wardlow, Roddy, and Kyle O'Reilly if he returns and then joins them too?
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to do it.
Bobby Fish.
No, not that way. Jesus Christ. Bobby Fish. What a fucking bag fumbler, bro.
What was weird is if let's say O'Reilly and Bobby Fish come back and they join them too, right? Wouldn't it be weird that the guy that turned into the devil is now back magically friends with all the people that he screwed over in the past as well. That they're just as dumb as MJF is. That they're
The
just as
Adam
dumb
Cole,
as
Kyle
MJF is.
O'Reilly history is so fucked up that it doesn't make any sense, really.
Yeah, Ring of Honor
watching.
and NXT. It makes zero sense.
But hey, maybe you do have him come back and not be aligned with them and say, "Hey, I actually feel for Max because
Yeah, I mean, okay,
you've done the same thing to me."
I mean, I understand. I mean, there's the singles division is so fucking huge right now. But like, if you wanted to, because Punk's no longer there, if you want to bring back Bobby Fish and O'Reilly to take the Ring of Honor tag titles off of the Kingdom to go against Adam Cole's group, I'd be cool with that. I'm not a huge Bobby Fish fan, but like, there's no where are you slotting Kyle O'Reilly at in the singles division right now? Like for real.
Yeah, Red Dragon. Regardless of how shit Bobby Fish can be, sometimes you're not doing it because of him. It's because of that tag team and the history that they have. So yeah, I mean, it's fine.
All right, so
it's
I got
kinda
it. We got it because this has gone on for a while now on this prediction show or review. I gotta ask overall grade for the pay per view.
Fuck, that's like a B minus because
See, that's what I said. B minus.
the first half of it was like
Rough.
wasn't-
Well, the first match was great.
the 0 hour was fine.
No, the 0 hour is fine. But besides the last 3 minutes of the Willow Statlander match was clumsy as hell.
The first 8-man was good.
Yeah, the first 8-man. That's what I was talking about. The first match of the actual show, the All-Star 8-man tag was
And
pretty
everything
fucking
else
good.
was like good or not good. I would say everything else was like passable to a little like fine or bad. And then the last 3 matches on the card were obviously all good. So
Yeah, I'm
I'd
saying
say
B
like a
minus.
B minus is fair.
Yeah, I'm giving it a B minus too. All right, let's move.
Yeah.
Let's move on because we got some other stuff we need to touch on here. Okay. Kevin Dunn is finally leaving WWE.
Might be able to
Now
watch a
I
goddamn
can
show
hopefully
without
watch
motion
it
sickness.
in a more frequent on a more frequent basis without getting a fucking headache. So that's good.
Yeah.
So I'm happy for him to be away from WWE. As
You know what would be funny though?
as
Is if
most
they bring in
people
somebody
are.
who's worse.
What? If they get somebody that's worse, yeah, no shit, right? We're gonna bring in I think we're gonna bring in Zack Snyder to do it
Or
now.
we're gonna bring in George Lucas and we're just gonna get fucking transitions for every
Zack Snyder, baby. I'd be cool with that. At least if it's the same transition, it won't be so fucking bad on your head.
No, it's gonna be like dissolves, fade up.
No, Zack
swipes.
Snyder, dude. Zack Snyder.
Yeah.
The cuts of Zack Snyder movies are fucking brutal.
Mhm.
But anyway, yeah. So Kevin Dunn is gone. With that being said, and with Vince no longer in charge of creative, or so we're told,
He's not.
are you more inclined to watch it? Are you more inclined to watch it more than you have been? Not that you're gonna just watch it religiously or every week or anything. But are you more inclined that, are you like right now, not knowing who they're gonna get to replace Kevin Dunn, obviously? Like, let's say the 20 camera cuts in 12 seconds goes away.
Mm-hmm.
Do you see yourself watching it more often in the future?
Here's what I'll say: the frequency and level of attention that I pay to WWE has very little to do with their production, and is more like am I doing anything on that Monday night where I don't have something better to watch, do, listen to, work on, whatever. And same thing for Fridays. It's like, well, I know I'm gonna watch Rampage probably. Do I want to watch SmackDown for a couple hours before that comes on? So I don't go out of my way to watch it either way. And I think the only way that I would go out of my way to watch it isn't gonna be based on like a change in production. It's gonna be based on, is there something going on that I care about enough to watch? Right now there's not.
Well,
really.
let's say there's something on there that you wanted to watch in the Kevin Dunn era, and you turn it on, and you see 20 camera cuts in 12 seconds. That's not taking you out of it and be like, oh, I got to turn the shit off. This is fucking terrible to watch.
You know what it's kind of fucked up, but what I do in that case, especially if I'm like watching it on Sling or whatever, is I will leave the noise on in the background and just put another fucking tab over it and do something else. So I'll listen to the show, but I won't. It's funny because when I watch WWE, a lot of times I'm just listening to promos and shit, and then I'll flip back over if it sounds like a match is interesting or like it's two guys that I want to see or whatever. But I often don't watch the program on the weekly television. I will listen to the program and then start looking at. I'll switch over to that window or whatever if it sounds like something cool's going on. But yeah, I would probably be more inclined to actually watch it if the production of it weren't so fucking weird. Because that is part of it. I'm just like, I don't want to watch.
Well,
like 12
I'm
supercut.
definitely more inclined to watch it on a more regular basis. Obviously, I try to watch it, and if I can't, I watch the condensed version on YouTube
Mhm.
because I have to watch it for the show. So if something crazy happens, even though we still really rarely talk about WWE in comparison to AEW,
Because we don't watch it.
yeah, like
Well, I mean, we do, but not, not to the
yeah,
same extent.
that's not like, well, there's nothing really happening either to
Yeah.
talk about. Like, what the fuck are you going to talk about? The same shit happens every week. Judgment Day comes out, interrupts Cody and Sammy and fucking Jey Uso, and they have a fucking some form of tag team or 6-man match or whatever, and and then that never happens, or some fuckery happens at the end of that. It's literally been like that for months.
Drew McIntyre's kind of around.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
you just throw in wrinkles to the same shit that you've been doing. Is all it is.
At the
Or
top of the card for
truth.
sure.
Drew
I think
Drew McIntyre.
I mean, they're rerunning the Sami Zayn shit with R-Truth and Judgment Day. Yeah. I think that I think the Gunther stuff is compelling. I like watching him wrestle. I like when somebody's like being a credible challenger to his reign. That's always something that I'll usually pay attention to storyline wise.
No, Raw
But other
is
than
just
that, man,
brutal
yeah,
to
I'm
watch,
not-
dude. Raw is so brutal to watch to me because you got
Yeah.
Bronson Reed, Gargano, Ciampa, Shinsuke. Like those group of dudes are always fighting each other, and they're always just trading wins and losses, and it's fucking annoying. Ivar now is in that group too. Like it's like, come on, man. Like,
Yeah.
what the hell are we even doing? Can you fucking decide on somebody to push, please, so they can get fucking multiple wins in a row, so we can think they actually have a shot against someone, a Gunther or a Rollins. Like you literally have your top 3 titles under fucking hostage right now. Like there's no one beating
and I'm
Roman, there's
fine
no
with
one
that
beating
for
Seth, and there's
Intercontinental.
no one beating Gunther.
Well, Seth, I imagine they're gonna have Punk beat, right?
Yeah,
Which
but
will
that's
make me
not till
wanna watch the end of that.
WrestleMania, bro.
It'll make
That's
me
the
wanna watch the end of
problem.
that.
It's
Who do
assuming
you
he
have
wins the
win
Royal
the-
Rumble, which I think would be a mistake,
A
or
mistake.
whatever.
Yeah. A mistake for sure.
I mean, the two options are Punk and Cody, and at least Cody's already won it. So, like, Punk's never won the Rumble, so I mean, I get it. But
What I
still.
would do is I would have whoever you could start a feud for Punk by whoever fucking throws him out. Just do that. Have somebody throw him out.
yeah, I mean,
and
this
have
is
that be
assuming that
their-
they're going to have Punk actually main event against Rollins, obviously. Because you could have that match happen at Elimination Chamber in Australia.
Yeah. There's a lot of different things they could do.
Anyway, it's just the same shit over and over, and no one can fucking break through because the top 3 titles are on these like in ridiculous fucking streaks that we were just talking about. That we're kind of glad if AEW starts going to the 4 or 5 month thing instead. All
It's so
right, let's
funny
talk about this
because-
last thing before we get out of here. I really want to talk about this.
Yeah.
So Kenny Omega and Charlotte Flair are both out indefinitely. We haven't got a chance to really talk about that on the show.
Yeah.
Charlotte tore everything in her fucking knee that you could fucking possibly tear. And then Omega has the same shit that Lesnar had.
Yep.
Okay. So
Diverticulitis.
yeah. So they're both out. And what I find interesting is because Andrade's possibly he's going back to WWE, and he pretty much finished up with AEW last night by losing to Miro
Still
to
not
go back to
guaranteed,
Charlotte.
for the record.
What?
But it's still not guaranteed. He hasn't signed anything.
Yeah, I understand all that, but he's
right.
going back. He wants to.
Maybe.
We can tell that he wants to.
We'll see.
And I believe
I
the
think that's a
reports are that
mistake,
I
'cause
believe the
I think
reports are
there's-
that Charlotte just re-signed with WWE anyway.
I think there's more to do there with him and Roosh and LFI. So
I
hope he
agree,
doesn't.
but that doesn't matter if that's not what he wants to do.
Yeah.
Clearly, Tony Khan said in the scrum that hey, we want to position him in a top spot here, and that's what we were planning on doing and going to do and stuff. And then if that's not good enough, that's not like if what he wants is to be with Charlotte and they can't get Charlotte over, then he's going to go where Charlotte is. That's just the reality of the situation. So anyway, but Tony Khan said in that scrum that he'd be going hard in free agency. Like it was fucking the offseason for goddamn NFL. It was awesome. So I was like, okay, let's do this, bro. So notable free agents that TK may be referring to in that scrum, Mercedes Mone, obviously, who new reports said that her and WWE's talks have fallen apart, but they also said the same thing with Punk, as we noted, and she did not debut last night at World's End. So you also have the day 1 pay-per-view that's going to be happening tomorrow for WWE. So if she doesn't show up there, then I think the chances of her going to AEW are stronger because she just trademarked a bunch of Monet fucking trademarks. And obviously she'd be fucking going back to Sasha Banks if she went to WWE. So
yeah,
Her trademarking those things make me believe that there's still a chance that she goes to AEW, but we'll see after tomorrow. If she doesn't debut tomorrow for fucking day one, then there's some good chances that we could see her very soon in an AEW ring. But it looks like she definitely wants to make a move imminently, right? Like she wants to make her fucking decision like ASAP is what it feels like to me. And then of course you got Deonna Purrazzo, whose contract is up with Impact. You got Camille, whose contract is up with NWA, who was the longest reigning NWA Women's World Champion ever, I believe. Nick Nemeth, obviously, aka Dolph Ziggler, is still out there. Ali is out there, and he's fucking wrestling everywhere in 2024. He'll probably be goddamn Indie Wrestler of the Year in 2024, the way that shit's starting out, depending on how fast he gets snatched up by AEW or possibly even go back to WWE. And then, of course, we talked about Shelton Benjamin a little bit earlier. There's a deep free agency right now. When Tony Khan says that he's going to be looking hard at free agency, do you think that's because he knows like guys like Andrade and possibly Miro and possibly some other guys that maybe want to go to Papa HGH back to NXT or NXT and WWE, or do you think it's because like a lot of these contracts that he's not going to renew are about to come up and he's going to have some free roster space for that too, or is it a combination of those things, or do you think he just wants to make some big splashes and stuff and let people know that, hey, we're not fucking going anywhere anytime soon?
Combination of all those, probably. He probably also knows he's about to get some more money from whatever deal he's working with.
Yeah, that's also been reported that that's like really close to coming together as well.
Yeah, so I'm sure he's aware of how much money he's got to play with. Contracts obviously coming up. He even talked about specifically like, hey, it's into 5 years, it's the beginning of the year or beginning of a new year. We're probably going to get rid of some contracts and just natural whatever. But yeah, I
mean, because you already got Top Dollar showed up to GCW. Matt Riddle went to MLW. Mustafa Ali, rather, I should say, is going everywhere. And then you have guys like Hammerstone out there. That's a free agent, which I would love for them to bring him in.
His whole deal with MLW seems weird too. Like he's on like
Jacob Fatu. I don't think his deal is up. I think he's still in MLW, but his deal might be coming up soon, and he'd be looking to go somewhere. But he's probably more leaning towards WWE, obviously, with the whole bloodline situation. But like, there's a lot of good talent out there right now.
Jacob Fatu. The reason I feel like people have said that the reason he doesn't get picked up is because of like personal shit or like behavioral shit or something, not necessarily that people don't realize that he's like.
Oh no, he seems like a good dude to me. I know Zilla Fatu has some issues outside the ring.
Okay.
The newest guy, dude, Maga's kid, I think.
I thought at some point somebody had said something along the lines of like he doesn't get picked up by major stuff because he's got shit going on in his background or something. But I don't know. I could be mixing that up with somebody else.
I mean, he seems like he's a good dude to his fans at least, so that's cool. But yeah, the roster. I mean, the free agency roster is deep. Like Impact and AEW and even WWE could benefit greatly going into this new year if they're like, let's say they were all active in free agency, and we already know TNA is. They've been signing people. Like, we could see could you imagine seeing a better year of wrestling in 2024 than we did in 2023? I think it's possible.
I think that Tony might be really motivated to build up the ROH brand too. So some of the people that he could bring in and put over there just as like experienced guys, you bring over like a Shelton Benjamin or a Hammerstone or people like that have a lot of that would be big enough names to make an impact over there without being like crazy expensive, like super high end contracts or whatever. I think that makes sense. Yeah, I don't know. There's a lot of stuff you could do. I think that the interesting thing to me is to see where Mustafa goes, because I think that he's probably got like the highest ceiling out of everybody, compared to what he's already done versus what he could do.
Okay, I was about to say I still think Ziggler could literally win the AEW World Championship if he wanted to, if they wanted to push him that hard. If he wanted, I mean, if he got like, he would have to do like the Shinsuke thing where like he gets reinvigorated type deal.
Let me say the most room left between their ceiling and where they've already been.
Got you. Yes. Okay. Yeah. I agree with that. Then.
So yeah, Ziggler's already been at the top. Ali
well, I don't know. Hammerstone's ceiling is pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah.
The problem would be is, are they going to view him like a Brian Cage instead of
Right.
like a Hogan type deal.
Where the fuck are the Outriders?
That dude, put Hammerstone with the Outriders right now.
Please.
The Outrunners, rather, whatever.
Outrunners. Sorry,
Yeah.
You're right.
Put Hammerstone with the Outrunners, dude. That would
They're
be
the
so
youngest
sick.
men alive, so they got
That would be
they
so
got a lot
sick
of time.
if they put it with. Oh, that'd be so fucking cool. It'd be like fucking Don Castle and the Boys on steroids, dude. That'd be so fucking good. Do it.
The youngest men alive shit is so funny to me. It's just from a language point of view.
Dude, they have a deep roster of tag teams. Like, could you? Okay, so here's the thing. It's like, okay, so the tag team champions are obviously the Kingdom now, which is a legitimate tag team, but they're going to probably be predominantly featured on AEW because they're part of the Adam Cole stable. So that part sucks. But like, if you think about what he could have the Iron Savages and the Outrunners and all these teams on Ring of Honor, dude. Like the Ring of Honor tag division could be fucking stacked, just like the main roster one is. But they just have the fucking Ring of Honor tag titles on goddamn main TV on AEW TV. Let's put it back on Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Fuck.
You could sort of like you used to go to TNA for the Knockouts division. Like that was their big draw was they had the best.
Yeah.
Division.
They
I
have
think
clearly the best
could,
knockout division, yes, or best women's
Yeah.
division, yes.
Best women's division. I think you could do the same thing with Ring of Honor having like the best tag division if they really wanted to.
Yeah, they really could. Like between the people that they use in Dark all the time that clearly are there on a regular basis, even if it's not a full-time contract, they clearly have dates signed or whatever. Like the Outrunners, the Iron Savages, Kingdom. I know I'm forgetting a few. The team that Maria's with now, the Griff Garrison and somebody else. Yeah, I forgot. But they've been getting a lot of TV time over there on Ring of Honor as well. Like, there's so many good tag teams and guys that actually want to be tag teams. And like, we haven't seen fucking Santana and Ortiz since their fucking last match against each other on Rampage. Like, put them back together. I don't give a fuck if they like each other or not. You run the show.
Kind of figured that would happen though, because like, once you tell that story for Santana, he doesn't, because he's been in tag so long, he doesn't have like a lot of other single stuff to bounce off of. So then you kind of get stuck creatively. You could do like a Jay Lethal thing and have Jay Lethal put somebody else over for Santana to move on again, but it's tough if you don't have a lot of singles history to set up new singles programs. Sometimes I feel like.
Do you okay? So when TK says he's going to go hard in free agency, what does that mean to you? That mean it's obviously more than one person he's going after, right? So like, where do you like 3 to 5 people that he's trying to he's looking at? Not necessarily he's going to bring that many people in, but when he says he's going hard in free agency.
Well, you look at how many
what do you
signed
think that
last year.
means?
He signed what, like 12 fucking people last year? New ones? Maybe more.
Huge people.
And he signed a lot of people last year.
Huge people.
So
Jay White, right? Jay White came in last year. Ospreay came in last year.
Shibata.
Even though Ospreay hasn't debuted yet, but Ospreay signed last year. Shibata, yes, just now, recently. Officially signed. Those are 3 big fucking names, dude. Those are 3 big fucking names. If he gets Mercedes, though, dude, for real.
Copeland is a big name. Obviously.
People making fun of like the meme of Triple H not being able to get any of these dudes that he wanted back or whatever, but like legit, like that would be hilarious. Like if he can't get Mercedes, they were going after Jay White, couldn't get him. They were going after Ospreay, couldn't get him. Then they also got Shibata, and you're sitting over there, and the only person you got was CM Punk, and that's because he got fired. Oh, he had nowhere else to go anyway. Like, did you really do anything to help bolster your roster? And by the way, the other thing is that he didn't even really need to bolster the roster in WWE. Just use the people you have correctly. Look at all the people that AEW's used correctly that they got from you, guy. They got from you. Swerve is about to be fucking first world champion, a Black African American world champion, right? That's what we think. He's already had the match of the year candidate against Hangman Adam Page. You've got Athena, who's fucking killing it in Ring of Honor, has done more in Ring of Honor than she ever did in fucking NXT and on the main roster. You got Toni Storm, who's the best gimmick in fucking wrestling right now. That last time we saw her, she was getting a cake shoved in her face by Charlotte Flair on SmackDown and left. Like, there's so many examples of people that are getting treated better in WWE or in AEW than they did in WWE. I could even say Aleister Black going to Malachi and Murphy going to Matthews. Like, because you didn't know what the fuck they were supposed to be over there. Yeah. And then when they get over here and they can actually have time to explain it and all this shit, even with all the breaks that House of Black has had, There's still fucking more over. They still accomplished more. Malachi never won one fucking title, singles title on the main roster in WWE that whole time that he was, from the time he was called up. Guess what, guys? He's won fucking trios titles already. He should have been fucking tag team champion already. But there's a possibility that he could win the international title or the Continental Classic. I want to see him in the Continental Classic next year. I mean, there's always rumors swirling around him as well about him going back to fucking WWE too, because Zelina's over there and whatever. But then every time he comes out, he says that's not true. So
it is weird that he would have anything to complain about, because I don't know if he just doesn't remember.
Yeah, like what are you complaining about? Exactly. Yeah. I agree. There's some of these people that are like, you really want to go back over there? Like, look at Keith Lee. Do you think Keith Lee wants to go back over there? Fuck no, he don't want to go back over there. He's with Mia Yim. He ain't got no fucking problem being away from Mia Yim.
Well, she seems like she could be a little bit annoying. That's fucked up.
Oh,
I don't mean that.
The fuck, dude.
But no, like, oh, you know what? He also signed fucking Ibushi and Roddy Strong.
Yeah, Ibushi.
Yeah,
Ibushi. So, Roderick Strong. That's a great example. Somebody that they're using way better than they've ever used them over there. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, man. There's so many fucking examples, and then people are like, oh, they're just getting a bunch of WWE cast-offs. Yeah, but look what the fuck he's doing with them. And they weren't cast-offs, really. It's just people that they didn't invest time into like we all knew that they should. They're not cast-offs. This isn't fucking Vladimir Kozlov. This isn't fucking, what the fuck, the dude that did gay porn? What's the dude that did gay porn?
Oh, Lars Sullivan.
Lars Sullivan. Yeah, these aren't cast-offs like those guys, where they just brought in big dudes and they were supposed to be something and then they never were. Mason Ryans and shit like that. That's not who we're talking about here. We're talking about dudes that legit had internet hype because they had quality fucking work in the indie promotions, and then we wanted them to sign them. They get the black and gold, they show off, and they're like, okay, this is going to be awesome. Then they get to the main roster, and Vince says, fuck no, fuck no, fuck no, fuck no, release, 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 release. And now they're all fucking doing better in AEW. That's literally how it's gone for all the dudes that we're talking about right now.
Yeah, it is weird that I just can't imagine what complaint Malachi would have. Hey, I Miss My Wife is completely valid, but booking wise, when did you think you were better booked in WWE?
Yeah,
very weird.
Exactly. I don't get it. I don't get it either. And then like I was saying about the tag titles for women earlier, I think that would be awesome for their division in AEW too, and could really like think about how good the tag team division is on the main roster. If they do that with women, and like just blow, like it would take almost no effort to blow out the WWE women's tag division out the water, right? By the way, they finally put it on a fucking actual women's tag team. Congratulations to Kaden Carter and Katana Chance, who I love, by the way. Follow both of them on Instagram and X. So love them and love that they finally got the fucking titles or whatever. But like, could you imagine, dude? Like, for instance, like a person out there like right now on Ringo or on AEW TV that's not getting used very much, but we know that can go. Taya Valkyrie. Put her with a fucking tag team with somebody. Who gives a shit? Make them a legit tag team. Make them wear similar shit. Give them a tag team name. Like, let's go. Find somebody that they have chemistry with or that they're friends with backstage and would be cool and come up with a gimmick. And you could literally have just come up with fucking 4 teams and you could already have a better fucking division than WWE's ever had in a tag team women's division.
It's funny because on the end of year awards thing, I think you have a thing for best women's tag team.
Yeah, and right now I've given it to MK Ultra, which is Masha Slamovich and Killer Kelly.
Yeah, last year I think I put there isn't one, and then so last year I put none, division is shit, and then this year I put there is no good women's tag team wrestling, because this is true for right now. There really isn't. It's not predominant enough. There is no. I put that in as a placeholder. I might come up with something later, but like I might not. I just don't feel like the division exists anywhere in any like.
Capacity. And the only person doing the tag team titles right for women, because there's already very few companies that have it anyway, is Impact. Yeah, Impact's the only one. That's why I went with MK Ultra. Like MK Ultra makes the most sense.
Yeah, the strong women's division has been such a staple of Impact TNA for so long that's not surprising. But there's enough talent in other companies to do it, I feel like.
Yeah, well, like and I think AEW has enough talent. Like, oh yes, we don't want to see more and more titles. Everybody comes out with titles, but that's because Ring of Honor still doesn't have that deal yet. Once Ring of Honor gets that deal and can be their own fucking thing, dude, all those titles from there are going to eventually move over, either dropped off if he wants to keep those guys on AEW and then drop them off to Ring of Honor guys in matches, or those guys will just get moved over to Ring of Honor. So like your mogul embassy type deal for the 6-man titles, they'll just get moved over, stuff like that. So I have no issue with that. So I still view the Ring of Honor titles as separate thing. I'm like, okay, when I'm watching an AEW show, when somebody comes out with a Ring of Honor title like a Wheeler Yuta or whatever, I was like, I'm not counting that as an AEW title. So if you want to come out with tag titles for AEW, or even if you want to create a Triple Crown tag titles, which has never been done before, between Ring of Honor, AEW, and a Stardom or something like that, I'd be fucking cool with that, because then you could go across and defend it across all these things, and then the pool of women are even bigger. I think that would be cool. So like, there's different ways that you could do that.
How we used to talk about the WWE ones, where it was like, obviously in the WWE you got the NXT Women's Championship, the Raw Women's Championship, SmackDown Women's Championship, and then they had the tag teams, and they used to have like the NXT Women's.
Yeah, they used to have the NXT Tag Team Champions, yes. And then they finally got rid of it, but they should have never had them to begin with.
Right. And I think that you should do this, if you're going to do this with AEW or Ring of Honor, do it with both at the same time. Make it a cross-promotional Women's Tag Team Championship that is defended on both. You don't brand it with either one of them. You brand it with something that's like both at the same time. Maybe that's where global could actually be used and make fucking sense, unlike New Japan's.
Yeah, global women's tag team championships. Boom.
Yeah, and then you have them defend that in multiple other places too, sort of like the Intercontinental, but or not Intercontinental.
But another great example of a tag team that you could literally do right now. Julia Hart drops her title. Guess what? Julia Hart and Sky Blue are sitting right there. That's a sweet tag team that you could have.
Yep.
Bunny got messed up, so it's not going to be Bunny and Penelope Ford anymore, because Bunny asked for a release or whatever, so she's gone. But that would have been a good tag team. Then you got Anna Jay and Tay Conti, if Tay Conti ever comes back after giving birth to their kid. So like you have shit there. Like, you're not using Anna Jay. You weren't using Tay Conti before she really left, as not in a wrestling role anyway. You got Penelope Ford sitting there. You got Taya Valkyrie sitting there. Like, there's a deep roster of talent, and they would be beneficial to have a division for themselves that they can get on TV, even if they're not winning the titles. I'm not saying they have to win the titles, but just having the division so that you could have them in there, and then you get 4 women in a thing, or a 3-way tag team match, or 6 women in there, instead of fucking just a singles match that doesn't really matter between Red Velvet and fucking Ruby Soho. You know what I'm saying? Like, put some fucking shit out there that actually would matter in a division, and that you can create even more stories off of. Especially like when you create the split stories, for instance, and then now you got singles matches too. That makes sense. Like, there's more grudge matches. There's more reasons for them to hate each other later on when one of them has a title. Shit like that. Like, it would be very beneficial to AEW to have those. And I'm glad Steve Fall actually ended up asking a question about fucking women's tag titles, because that needed to be asked. I think that's it for the show today, bro. I think that's all we're going to talk about. I think we're good. It was a crazy night of wrestling, and then of course the scrum that took like fucking 35 minutes to fucking start. I was dozing off. I was like, oh my God, how the hell am I going to do this show in the morning? But we did it. We got it done. The last show of 2023. We will see you very soon with our Wrestle Kingdom 18 predictions. 18, right?
Yes, 18.
Yeah. Wrestle Kingdom 18 predictions soon on the channel. Check them out. And then, of course, we will also have the Monster Awards 5th year. This is our 5th year. Only our 2nd year on YouTube doing it. When we were the audio podcast in 2019, obviously, we had Monster Awards. This will be our 5th annual Monster Awards. So definitely join us for that as well. Looking forward to that. Anyway, hope everybody has a happy and safe new year. And we'll see you guys very soon. Deuces.